A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This, I believe. One of the English music world's most distinguished figures is Sir Stuart Wilson. As Deputy General Administrator of the Royal Opera House at Covent Garden, he holds special responsibility for development of Britain's most important opera company. No stranger to the concert platform, he was in his day a leading tenor. This is Sir Stuart Wilson's creed.
I am one of those many people who can no longer say with complete confidence, I believe, and the words must be in quotes, in the sort of way that belief is implied in the creeds of the Christian churches or in the statements and affirmations of non-Christian religion. But among those people like me, many are deeply religious by nature, insofar as they feel that they can accept the idealism and the social philosophy, if one may use such a word, which the teaching of Christ and other great idealists contained, while they find it impossible to belong to any close corporation which excludes others who think slightly differently about administrative church matters, while they have overlooked the two things that should be a human bond between us all, namely, do you care for truth above all things, and will you never do unto others that which you would not wish others to do unto you? If you really care for truth passionately, you will have a mind that is perpetually inquiring and alert, a mind that is unable to hold strong convictions without examining their truth. And to examine is not the same as to repeat the same identical statements over and over again. Now, if you care for other people as you care for yourself, you will simply have to act, not just look for truth. And when you have made up your mind that something ought to be done, and how often have we said that, you must put forward some very good reason indeed why it should not be you that does it. The great saints felt like that. How else can you explain St. Francis, St. Ignatius on the one plane, General Booth of the Salvation Army, or the abolitionists on another plane? They felt a burning sense of duty to prevent the doing unto others of that which they would never in any circumstances wish or indeed allow others to do unto them, and they could not rest quiet until they had done something. Truth does not live at the bottom of a well. Truth is much more like the sleeping beauty surrounded by a high quickset hedge. Truth has to be fought for by a living person as a virtue which must be brought back to life by personal struggles. And surely it's this fighting which gives us the right to hold the truth, and equally the credit in maintaining it. The purpose of life can be said to consist in two words, truth and love. How can we attain any objective so grand, so remote as these? Let me quote the obstinate, determined, pugnacious, visionary tinker, John Bunyan. Christian, the pilgrim of Pilgrim's Progress, is seeking information from Evangelist as to how to find the way to the celestial city and to escape from the city of destruction. And this is the dialogue. Evangelist, do you see yonder wicket gate? Christian, no. Evangelist, do you see yonder shining light? Christian, I think I do. Evangelist, keep this light in your eye and go up thereto.
They're the beliefs of Sir Stuart Wilson, a Briton who has worked tirelessly for an improvement in the public's musical taste.
Good evening, Creed. Welcome once again to the Mystery Playhouse. Tonight our stage has been taken over by The Crime Photographer, written by Alonzo Dean Cole, and based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Horman Cox, and played by Stat Cotsworth. Casey, ace cameraman of the Morning Express, covered the crime news of a great city. His adventure for tonight, the reunion. o'clock in the evening. A luxurious suite in our city's most expensive hotel. One of its present occupants is a strikingly beautiful woman. In her hands is the latest fashion magazine, but she stares at it without interest.
Irene. Irene.
Yes, Ruth?
You haven't turned a page in that magazine for half an hour.
I've been thinking.
Oh, Irene, why don't you put him out of your mind?
If a man had done to you what my husband has tried to do to me, could you drive it from your mind?
Oh, yes, I know.
I made Kurt a success. He was just a poor weakling when I met him. I made him a great sculptor. I made him rich and famous. Now he's repaid me. But he's not going to get away with it.
Your lawyers will see to that, Irene. They told you they can nullify that divorce Kurt got from you.
When I think of the rottenness of it...
Oh, I don't anymore.
Ruth, when you and I were in South America, the
Yes.
Kurt persuaded me to take for my health.
Mhm.
All the while, he was establishing residence out of this state to divorce me for abandonment. Then, when we came home 4 days ago, we find he's been granted his divorce.
It was rotten, dear, so rotten.
And he was preparing to marry another woman. That Bixby woman.
Oh, she's contemptible. Filthy, loathsome. Oh, when I think of it, I want to kill him.
I don't want to kill him, Ruth. I want to keep him.
Keep him?
Yes.
Well,
No other woman's going to have him. Tomorrow, I'm going to sign the papers for the nullification of the divorce, and Will you answer that, Ruth?
Certainly.
Say I'm not here.
All right. Hello? Mrs. Walter isn't here. I'm Miss Chandler, her cousin. Who is this? Hold the line a minute. It's a man, Irene. He insists that he's got to talk to you.
Who is he?
His voice sounds a little like your husband.
Kurt?
Yes.
All right.
Here.
Hello, this is Mrs. Walter. Oh. All right, wait a minute. Ruth, will you please go into the bedroom and shut the door?
Well, yes, of course.
Don't be angry with me. I'll tell you all about it later. Hello? Oh, Ruth, forgive me for sending you out of the room.
Irene!
I'm going out. You've got to help me dress in the prettiest things I have. Thank heaven my hair was decently done today.
Say, what is this? Was it Kurt?
No, it wasn't Kurt. Darling, hand me that cold cream jar.
Here. What other man is making you dress in your best? And you've changed completely since that telephone call, Irene.
You'll just have to restrain your curiosity. And for several days. I don't expect to come back here tonight or tomorrow night.
What?
Maybe I won't come back for a week.
Why?
But don't worry, Ruth, and don't try to find me. I'm going to be happy again, dear. Altogether happy.
What is it? Hello?
This is Ann.
Who?
Ann Williams.
Nobody but that name here. You got the wrong number.
Hey,
Goodbye.
wait a minute.
What? Huh?
Wake up, you dope. Wake up.
Annie, huh?
Now he knows it.
What's the big idea of phoning at this hour?
Right, Donald, listen. You've heard me speak of Ruth Chandler.
Have I?
Yes, you have. She went to college. And she's a cousin of the rich and very beautiful Mrs. Kurt Bolton.
You mean the wife of the big sculptor?
Indeed, I do. Now, listen, Ruth phoned me a few minutes ago and told me that Mrs. Bolter disappeared 10 days ago and has not been heard from since.
Yeah?
Yes. Ruth hasn't notified the cops yet, so we're getting first in on what may be a good story.
Well, give me all the dope, Annie.
Give you. Ruth will tell us the story as soon as we get to the hotel.
Oh, okay, Annie. I'll pick you up in about 20 minutes.
Mr. Casey, Irene left this suite on Friday night, 10 days ago, at about 10 o'clock. And that's the last I've seen or heard from her.
Yes, but Ruth, listen, Mrs. Bolter told you that she might be away for a week.
Now, maybe she's just staying wherever she is a little longer than she intended.
But she's not where I thought she was going then.
Miss Chandler, you figured that Mrs. Walter was joining her husband for a reunion.
It was the only thing I could figure, Mr. Casey. Until just before I phoned you this morning, I learned there hasn't been any reunion.
You went to Walter's home?
Yes. I talked to Mrs. Royce, his housekeeper. She told me that during the past 10 days, Kurt has been working almost constantly in his studio. It's attached to the house. And that Irene hasn't been there.
Sure she told you the truth?
Positive. She and I are old friends. She wouldn't lie to me. Mr. Casey, do you think I should ask the police to look for Irene?
No, I wouldn't. You know how women feel who've just been separated from their husbands. Maybe she just... Well, she might be. To say, is this photograph on the piano a picture of your cousin?
It is.
Mm-hmm. This was taken some time ago.
About 15 years ago, soon after her marriage, at the time she was posing for the statue that made her husband famous.
The sleeping goddess?
You know about it?
Yeah. I've seen copies of the original. I kind of like sculptures and paintings. So Mrs. Walter modeled for it, eh?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Annie, this face isn't just beautiful. It's got power in it, real power.
It has that, all right.
No photograph can do Irene's full justice. She has the most wonderful hair, Mr. Casey. True golden hair.
Yes, Anne told me about that.
And I've seen Kurt go into temperamental razors because he's a sculptor and not a painter. He couldn't reproduce her hair in bronze or marble, of course.
Miss Chandler, when you talked to his housekeeper this morning, did you ask her where Walter was on the Friday night your cousin left here?
Mrs. Royce remembered that he'd worked in his studio all that night until about 8 o'clock in the morning. He was doing some noisy construction work on a mole.
Well, did she see him working there?
No. He never permits anyone in the studio when he's working.
Then he could have gone out for a while.
Mr. Casey, I believe you have the same awful idea that I have. That Kurt might have slipped out of the studio unseen, met Irene somewhere, and killed her.
Did you let this Mrs. Royce know of your suspicions?
No. I even asked her not to tell anybody that I'd been out to see her this morning. I don't know why. I just did.
Good. I'd like to talk to Walter before he knows a search has been started for Mrs. Walter. I just might catch him off guard. Just might. Well, let's go, Annie.
Mr. Walter will see you and this lady, Mr. Casey. He's in his studio. Please come this way.
Oh, thank you. You're Mrs. Royce, aren't you?
Yes. How did you know my name? Oh, Ruth Chandler told us all about you. Here we are.
Come in.
The lady and gentleman from the Morning Express, Mr. Walter. Miss Williams and Mr. Casey.
It's a great pleasure to know you.
How do you do, Mr. Walter?
Walter, it was nice of you to let us barge in on you like this.
I'm always glad to receive newspaper people. You know, I have a special regard for the Morning Express. Its art editor has always been very flattering about my work. He sent you here, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We're from the art department. Will you want anything, Mr. Walter?
No, thank you, Mrs. Royce. You can go. Well, sit down, Miss Williams.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Casey. Thank you. Have a cigarette?
Yes, I'd like one.
Mr. Casey?
Much obliged.
I will join you.
I have a match right here ready. Here I am.
Fine. Thank you.
Mr. Walter?
Thanks. No, please. Do not light your own with that, Mr. Casey. Not three on the match.
Okay, since you're a superstition.
You see, I was born in Europe, in a little mountain village where people still believe in witchcraft, ghosts, and omens. I'm afraid my many years in this enlightened country have not completely eradicated my early teaching.
I see. This is an enormous studio you have.
Yes, we sculptors require a great deal of room.
Yeah. See, this plaster model of your sleeping goddess must be over 8 feet long. Mm-hmm. He's certainly a masterpiece. I never saw the original.
You are looking at the original now.
I thought that was somewhere in Germany.
I must explain my method of working. First, like all sculptors, I make a wax or clay model of my conception. But when it is only roughly complete, I take from it a mold and then make a casting of plaster. On the plaster cast, I carve my finishing touches. Another mold is then taken for the final casting of metal. This model provided the final mold.
It's a true original, then.
Yes. It's now almost priceless. You see, its bronze replica was destroyed by a bomb during the war.
This really is worth plenty, then.
Many consider it my greatest work.
I understand the model who posed for it was your wife.
Yes. She is now my ex-wife. We are divorced.
Yeah? Well, if she looked like this sleeping goddess, she was certainly some woman.
More like a goddess than a woman. She had the most wonderful hair in the world. But it was not of this world. Let us not talk of her.
Okay. Hey. When did you make this plaster model, Mr. Bolter?
15 years ago. Why?
The head feels damp, like fresh plaster.
The head? That cannot be.
Feel it.
It is not damp. What do you say, Miss Williams?
Feels stone dry to me, Casey.
Huh? Yeah.
Sure.
Funny. When I first touched it, it felt cold and clammy, like death.
Death?
Yeah. I see you don't have to go through your house to get in or out of this studio, Mr. Volter. There's a door leading directly outside.
Yes. But will the story you and Miss Williams do about me concern this sort of thing?
Well, hey, we must be getting to that story, yes. We want to hear about your most recent work, Mr. Volter.
My current work is this group here.
Oh, hey, that's a bigger hunk of plaster than the goddess.
That's what you call hunk of plaster. Will bring me $30,000 when cast in bronze.
Wow. You're in a good business. What do you call this group?
I call it the Reunion.
The Reunion?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It is a symbolic conception.
When did you cast that plaster?
Why, just 10 days ago. I set up my mold and worked all night.
All Friday night?
It was a Friday night.
And you call it a reunion.
Look here, Casey. The story you've just been telling me adds up to nothing more right now than a case for the Missing Persons Bureau. I'm a homicide cop.
My hunch says this is a homicide case, Logan.
Well, I have the same feeling, Captain. So have I.
This police department can't take the drastic action you propose on the strength of mere hunches and feelings.
I haven't proposed any drastic action, Logan, until after a thorough routine missing persons search has been made for Mrs. Volter. If she isn't found alive or dead within a reasonable length of time, well, I've told you where to look.
You believe that she went to Walter's studio in response to his phone call through the door that leads there directly from outside, and he let her in, killed her,
and hid her body in the mold he was setting up that night. Then he surrounded it with plaster. I think you'll find Mrs. Volter is in the model he so symbolically calls the Reunion.
Casey? Hiya, Miss Williams.
How are you, Ethelbert?
Hello. I ain't seen you two all day. What do you have to drink?
Oh, give me a cup of coffee.
Gee, Casey, you must be feeling low. What are your troubles?
We can put them in 3 little words, Ethelbert. The Volter case.
Say, why don't the cops quit stalling on that? They're never going to find Mrs. Volter till they look in the place you told them to, Casey.
Today, they did look for her in the place I told them to.
You mean?
Yes. I was wrong.
Mrs. Volter's body was not in the plaster model of Reunion.
In order to find that out, Logan's men had to bore holes in the model, and they broke it all up. Now Volter's going to sue the city for $30,000 he claims it was worth, plus additional damages for I don't know how. Oh, his lawyers are drawing up a swell bill of goods.
Sure, and the worst of it is he's pretty sure to win at suit.
Logan will probably lose his job on account of it. He gave the order to bore into the statue on the strength of my hunch. Gee, the poor sap trusted me because, well, by sheer dumb luck, I've given him a couple of good steers in the past. This time I let him down for fair, and how?
Oh, Casey, he doesn't blame you.
Yeah, I know that. Look, don't ever tell the big dope I said this, but Logan's a pretty swell egg.
Because Mrs. Walter's body wasn't hid in that statue, does it mean her husband's now in the clear?
Sure does.
Yeah?
The only place he could have hidden her body was inside the freshly poured plaster of that reunion model.
Wait a minute, Miss Williams. Couldn't he have hidden the body in a closet or someplace around the house and then sneaked it out later?
No, Ethelbert. Mrs. Royce and her cleaning women would have found it.
Oh, of course not. And there's only one other model in the studio large enough to hide a human body in, and that was cast 15 years ago.
Those plaster castings have a hollow core.
Oh, so what, Casey? To have even gotten the body inside the sleeping goddess, Walter would have had to cut a big hole in the old plaster and then afterward patch it up with fresh stuff, which would show you.
The head of the sleeping goddess, it felt cold and damp like fresh plaster that day.
Didn't to me, Casey. And you said it didn't to you either after a minute.
Yeah, that's so. It's funny, that's what started my hunch about Mrs. Walter being buried in plaster. And when her husband said he'd cast that reunion piece on the night she... Annie. I've doped the guy all wrong. He was smarter than I thought.
What are you talking
about?
about?
That reunion model was only a planned decoy. He put her inside the sleeping goddess. Then he deliberately led you and me and the cops to believe her body was in the reunion model. And now that we've found she isn't there...
Oh!
Aha, you've got it. The city stands to lose $30,000 plus for that mistake. No sane cop is going to take a chance like that again.
Casey, if you're right...
If he's right, Ethelbert, Mr. Kurt Walter is going to get away with murder.
Yeah.
Say, Casey, why don't you sneak into that studio on a dark night, bust open that statue...
And what if I didn't find the body, Ethelbert? Walter wouldn't bother to sue me. He just had me put away until about 1966.
I got no more suggestions.
I haven't even got a thought.
Wait a minute. I have.
Yeah? What?
And I'm going out to see Mrs. Royce, Walter's housekeeper, and ask her one confidential question.
No, Mr. Casey. Since the night he made that plaster casting of his reunion group, Mr. Walter has never gone into his studio after dark.
I see.
Oh, I thought it rather strange. He used to do so much work in there at night.
Well, thanks, Mrs. Royce.
Why have you asked me about that?
I've been thinking.
I was born in Europe, in a little mountain village where people still believe in witchcraft, ghosts, and omens.
I've sometimes thought Kurt insane on the subject of Irene's hair. He couldn't reproduce it in bronze or marble.
She had the most wonderful hair in the world, but it was not of this world.
Yes, Mrs. Royce, I've just been thinking a kind of crazy thought.
This scheme of yours is absolutely nuts.
Call it a long shot, then, Logan, and play it with me, will you? If it happens to work, you save your job, the town saves at least $30,000, I save my peace of mind, and we'll have the goods on a rotten killer.
Okay, pal, I'll take a chance. Good evening, Mr. Walter.
Good evening, Mr. Walter.
It is not evening. It is almost midnight. Why have you insisted upon seeing me at this hour?
Well, it's a kind of peculiar thing, Mr. Walter.
Mr. Walter, do you believe in dreams?
Dream?
Yes, dreams.
Casey here had a very funny dream last night.
Why should I?
It concerns you, Mr. Walter. You see, I dreamed about Mrs. Walter.
My ex-wife?
Uh-huh. I dreamed that she talked to me.
She talked to you?
Yes. She wasn't like a woman in my dream. She looked like that statue of yours she posed for, the sleeping goddess.
She was the goddess. Only awake.
Awake?
Uh-huh.
Casey, tell him the funny thing she said to you in your dream.
Okay, Logan, I will. Mr. Walter, she said, I am the goddess awake because my life is in my statue.
She said her life was...
And her hair was the shiny gold color I've heard Mrs. Walter had. So bright. It seemed to have light in it.
Why have you come here to tell me about this?
Because in my dream she told me to come here.
She told you?
Just before midnight, she said.
It's almost that now, Casey. We gotta move fast.
Yeah, come on, Walter, into your studio.
Into my studio? She told Casey to have you there at midnight.
Clock's striking 12 now. Come on, hurry.
No, let me go. How dare you?
She wants you in the studio, Walter, where she's waiting for you.
Waiting for me?
The goddess awake with shiny gold hair.
Don't open that studio door. Don't push me inside. We're leaving you inside.
And in the dark.
Open your door. Let me out. Light switch does not work. Open this door. Don't leave me alone here in the dark.
You're not alone, Walter. The goddess is awake in there.
No. That golden light. That golden light rises, moves this way. No. Don't come any closer. I'm sorry, Irene. I had to kill you. You ruled me. I've been your slave. The slave of your will. Your golden hair that mocked my heart. I had to kill you and hide your body in that sleeping goddess. I had to make you free forever. Don't come any closer. Forgive me. We've heard enough, Casey. Forward, Dave Logan.
Switch on your flashlight.
Okay. Casey, I'm glad to have some light in here.
You did a swell job, Annie.
I was scared. You know what? I was scared. I didn't like to see a ghost in the dark.
You scared Mr. Kurt Walter a lot more, Miss Williams. He's fainted.
You did?
I figured all he needed was to see the shadow of a woman with a luminous wig rise from behind that plaster statue and walk slowly toward him.
Casey, I'll never do this kind of job again. I'll never do it again.
You're trembling, kid. Now, what's the matter?
I don't know. I don't know. You know what happened?
What?
Just at midnight. When you pushed Walter through the door and I went into my act, I got suddenly afraid.
Afraid of Walter?
No, afraid of her.
Annie, what?
Hey,
How was I?
Walter hasn't fainted. He's dead.
Dead?
Yeah.
Dead.
Hey, Miss Williams, you never got very close to him with that blonde wig of yours, did you?
No.
What is it, Logan?
Look at this dead guy's neck, Casey.
A single golden hair is wrapped around it, almost like a noose.
A creep that rings down the curtain on the Mystery Playhouse for tonight. The Reunion, a crime photographer story written by Alonzo Dean Cole, is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Horman Cox. Stats Cotsworth was heard as Casey, and Miss Leslie Woods played Anne. Until next time, creep. Good night. Sleep tight. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
This, I believe. Businessmen are often falsely accused of leading narrow, mechanical lives. A native of Cincinnati, graduate of Williams College in Massachusetts and now a New Yorker, Stuart Peabody is Assistant Vice President of the Borden Company. He has discovered in our American heritage a strong and valuable message and made it a part of his own understanding philosophy. This is what he believes.
The personal world I live in is not as wide as those of many of the people who have expressed their credos on this I believe. So my beliefs are concerned largely with everyday relationships with people, the members of my family, my friends, my fellow workers, elevator men, bus and taxi drivers, store clerks, and the like. I believe, nevertheless, that such relationships are of the greatest importance, and that if all relationships, including international ones, could be reduced to individual human terms, we should have less trouble in the world. For me, one of the most important factors in human relations is a willingness always to search for the reasons which lie behind the conduct of others, especially conduct which irritates me or hurts me or makes me mad. I have always found reasons, and among them, more often than not, have been grounds for understanding, excuse, and forgiveness. From a purely selfish standpoint, there's a wonderful satisfaction in consciously doing this, and there's relief, too, for I don't like to stay irritated or hurt or mad. Few people do. I believe, too, in seeking consciously to understand the intent behind the actions of people. If I form judgment only on the result or effect of an act and fail to get at the intent behind it, I risk many painful misunderstandings and much unhappiness. The words "he meant well" have far greater significance and usefulness in human relationships than just as a cynical and patronizing remark. Of course, these principles of conduct, the willingness to seek reasons and motives, and to understand, excuse, and forgive, are not new. They stem directly from the teachings of Christ and from the copybook maxims of our youth. They are more difficult to practice in today's complex world than they were in the days of the founders of our country, and for understandable reasons. As I see it, among the things which have made this country the most powerful and the most comfortable in the world are the individual initiative and the self-reliance of our people. On these traits depended the very lives of the settlers and the pioneers. In the old days, however, other traits were inseparable from these and served as governors and modifiers of individualism. Our forebears knew that when danger threatened, the neighbors in the other log houses were necessary for the protection of themselves and of the whole community, that when a roof tree was to be raised, it could be done only with the help of neighbors. Now our communities have grown larger. Machines have taken over many of our labors, and we have come to be less directly dependent on our neighbors. Our conduct patterns have been strongly influenced by these complexities of modern living. We have retained our individualism, but it has become increasingly easy to lose sight of the saving modifiers, tolerant understanding of other people, and respect for their views and motives. I find it helpful, when conduct falls short of intent, as it so often does, to think back to the early days of America. The example of our forefathers can simplify and clarify principles for me which are more important today than ever before. They are not only the principles upon which this nation was built, but upon which all human relations must, I believe, be based if peace is to come to the world.
That was Stuart Peabody of New York, chairman of the Advertising Advisory Committee to the Secretary of Commerce and a thoughtful citizen.
Crime does not pay.
Look at him shine and glitter like. Look at him shine.
That's a $50,000 glitter, baby. Ice. $50,000 worth of ice.
Gee, how I'd love to wear 'em, Art. Wouldn't they look gorgeous around my neck?
Like a rope, kid. You'd hang us both for sure if you ever wore those diamonds.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear What's in a Name, starring Helen Craig. Crime Does Not Pay, starring Helen Craig as Sophie Tarwell, alias Jane Costello, in What's in a Name? There is much truth in the old adage, no honor among thieves. There are only two successful methods of keeping thieves from falling out. One is a mutual interest in common gain. The other is force, the obey-or-die rule of organized crime. Sophie Tarwell and Art Sewell stayed together over the years because of common gain. These two had a method all their own. Sophie was the front with women, Art with the men. Their operation usually began as did the morning Sophie arrived at a very swank Florida hotel and said to the desk clerk,
May I register, please?
Oh, of course, miss, of course. Right here. And what kind of accommodations did you wish?
A small suite. Do you have one available?
We have a very nice parlor, bedroom, and bath on the east wing.
On the ocean?
Yes, ma'am.
Here's your registration card.
Thank you. Why, this is most extraordinary. We have a Jane Costello with us already. The famous stage star.
Well, that is interesting.
Yes.
I've heard of her, of course, but we've never met. Well, at last the paths of the namesakes cross.
It is strange, isn't it? And no relation?
No, none whatsoever.
Well, I hope you do meet one day. And here, front, please, front.
I want the manager. Is this the manager's office?
This is Martin Coswell speaking.
Mr. Coswell, something must be done about this at once. I'm not getting my mail, and that other Jane Costello is. Now, there must be some way of sorting the mail so that I won't read another woman's letters nor she mine.
Yes, we've noticed your previous complaints, Miss Costello, and mentioned the matter to the other Miss Costello. We're doing our best. Please be kind enough to give us a little more time.
I wish to see Mr. Coswell at once.
Yes, Miss Costello, of course, at once.
Miss Costello, at very long last.
Yes, I'm Jane Costello.
And so am I. Really, it's an honor to meet you, finally.
Thank you, Miss Costello.
Thank you, Miss Costello.
One has the oddest sensation of talking to oneself. Don't you feel that way?
No. I have only the name. You have the great talent, Miss Costello.
Thank you again, my dear. Really, you know, we'll have to do something about the mail.
Well, now that we've met, perhaps we ought to have breakfast together and open all the mail addressed to Jane Costello, side by side.
Except, of course, those letters with return addresses we recognize.
Exactly.
I see you ladies have met.
Yes, we have. And solved the whole muddle, Mr. Coswell.
Excellent, excellent. Leave it to the ladies, I always say.
Do you? Perhaps at the rate you're going, Mr. Coswell, you'd like us to run the hotel for you, too.
Jane, I think this has been one of the best months of my life.
The weather certainly has been pleasant.
The weather's always pleasant in Florida this time of the year. But it's finding a friend I'm talking about.
Thank you, Jane. You know, my dear, I've been on the stage a good many years. I've played in almost every city in the English-speaking world. But there are still very few people I can really call my friends.
Oh, I don't believe that. Well, I'm glad, Jane, that a coincidence of names helped us both find friends.
Am I wrong, darling, or do I detect a note of, farewell in your voice?
There is a little.
You're not leaving already. Why, it's only a month.
I know, Jane. A wonderful month.
Is it cash, darling? Because if it is,
nothing like that. In fact, I'm not even giving up my suite. I'll be back. But I hate to leave here, even for only a week or two.
Where are you going?
Well, that's just it. I'm not sure.
You sound so strange, dear.
Well, Jane, it's difficult to explain. My first stop is home. But, my sister isn't well, and she needs a dry climate, it seems. So I think I'll probably have to find a place in Arizona for her, and then take her there.
Oh, you poor dear.
Oh, I don't really need sympathy, Jane. And anyway, I'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks. I'll miss you. And our breakfast. I really will.
And I you. You're certain there's nothing I can do?
Well, there is the question of mail.
Shall I forward it home?
Oh, no, I won't be there long enough. But if you just accept anything that comes from me and hold it until I get back.
What a question. I'll be glad to, darling. I'm sure the management will see to it that I get all your letters anyway.
Mr. Métier.
Georges Mertier, madame, à votre service.
Mr. Métier, I'm looking for something really nice in the way of a necklace. You'll understand, I'm sure, the new evening gowns. One feels so bare without a fine necklace.
Of course, madame. Now, madame has some limit, perhaps.
Limit? Oh, you mean the price? None whatsoever, Mr. Métier. When the day comes that Jane Costello sees a...
Madame Costello, I am desolate not to recognize the great star at once. 1,000 apologies. How can I serve you?
I'll trust you, Mr. Métier. Let me see what you think is right for me.
One moment, let me think. Yes, but of course. Jacques, tray 12 from the small safe at once. Vite.
Something really special, Mr. Métier?
You will see. A cascade of beauty that will take life from your beauty, madame. A piece made for a queen, made undoubtedly for you.
Mr. Métier, you outdo yourself.
Merci, Jacques, merci. Now, if madame will feast her eyes on this.
Oh, it's so beautiful, it takes my breath away.
Madame is most gracious. This I have designed myself.
And the price, Mr. Métier?
So that I may say my work is graced by madame's beauty, $50,000, madame.
That is a fortune.
Set in platinum, each stone emerald cut, the central pendant a flawless jewel, a perfect rose diamond of 20 carats.
You tempt me, Mr. Métier. You really do.
Madame will take it?
50,000. Yes, I'll take it.
And madame wishes it delivered?
To my hotel, the Esplanade. If you'll just send it over.
Well, madame will forgive me, but it is most necessary that I call the hotel on the telephone.
Well, you know me, Mr. Métier. Why?
The formality required by the insurance company, madame. In these distressing times, so many impostors.
Do you think that I'm an impostor, Mr. Métier?
But of course not, madame. Never. However, a record of such a telephone call there must be for the insurance. If madame will forgive, I will call right here. Madame will see it is but a formality.
Oh, very well. If you must, you must.
1,000 thanks, madame, for understanding.
Hotel Esplanade.
Office of the manager, if you please.
Thank you. I will ring the manager.
Arthur Coswell speaking.
Monsieur Coswell, Georges Mertier here.
Oh, yes, Mertier the jeweler. Now, how are you?
In excellent health. And you?
Perfect. Now, what can I do for you, Mertier?
Well, here in my establishment is Madame Jane Costello. This, of course, is a formality, but Madame wishes a necklace delivered to her at your hotel. She is registered?
Of course.
But of course. And your safe is a satisfactory repository for gems such as this?
Safe as the Bank of England.
Thank you, Mr. Coswell. Thank you very much. Good day.
Glad to be of service. Goodbye.
All is well, of course, madame, as we knew it would be. Our messenger will deliver the necklace before the day is over.
Coswell, I demand to know the meaning of this immediately.
Of what, Miss Costello? Is something wrong?
Wrong. Is anything right?
Now, please sit down, Miss Costello.
Sit down. When Mertier is threatening to sue me for $50,000, unless I produce a necklace they insist they sold me.
I don't quite follow.
50,000. Where would I get 50,000 for something to wear around my neck? It's preposterous.
If you would start at the beginning, Miss Costello, I'd be most happy to help if I can.
Oh, yes. Yes, well, perhaps you don't know. Now then, listen. 2 weeks ago, I signed for a package, addressed in my name. A package from Mertier. I ordered nothing, much less a $50,000 diamond necklace.
I remember now. George Mertier did call me something about your being registered here and was my safe a secure depository.
Apparently not me, Mr. Coswell. My so-called namesake.
She ordered
the necklace, exactly. I was taking her mail and packages while she went off to Arizona. Oh, something about a sister. 2 days after the package was delivered, she blew in. Told me she'd come for her mail. I gave her the mail and her package from Mertier. And I haven't seen or heard from her since. And Mertier's has my signature on the receipt and they're demanding payment.
This is quite serious, Miss Costello. I wonder if you realize how serious.
Are you telling me this is not a mistake of some sort, Mr. Coswell?
It's no mistake, Miss Costello. It's one of the smoothest, slickest swindles ever perpetrated.
That woman? With my name, a thief?
Yes, Miss Costello. I'm sure she took your name only for the obvious purpose, and I'm equally sure this is a matter strictly for the police.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with What's in a Name. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Helen Craig as Sophie Tarwell, alias Jane Costello, in What's in a Name. Just a few miles geographically, but 1,000 miles socially from the Hotel Esplanade was a rooming house like 100,000 others across the country. Shabby, shoddy, and anonymous. Second floor rear looked out on the usual littered yard with its crisscross of wash lines. But the occupants of that room were not interested in the view. At the moment, Sophie Tarwell, alias Jane Costello, was interested in the man with her and...
Money. A lot at once. I want to bury my arms in the long green right up to the elbows.
Want to run through it in your bare feet, baby?
Yeah, that too. All my life it's been pennies and nickels, Art. When the rent was paid, it was worry over the groceries. When the grocer was paid, it was worry over the rent. Never enough money. I couldn't even finish commercial high school, Art. Did I ever tell you that? I couldn't learn shorthand and typing and get a decent job. I had to go into a mill because my father couldn't work, and my older brother wouldn't.
And then you met me, Sophie. We ain't done so bad, huh?
2 weeks now, Art. Haven't we waited long enough?
Could be. Matter of fact, I got a date with Fence Palmer today.
Can I go with you?
Not on your life, baby. You're hotter than a pistol this minute. They saw you. Nobody knows me.
Art, let me look at him once more.
Sure, baby, sure. Here. Yeah, I love the way they pack this stuff. On black velvet, huh?
Look at them shine and glitter, Art. Look at them shine.
That's a 50 grand glitter, baby. Ice. $50,000 worth of ice.
Gee, how I'd love to wear them, Art. Wouldn't they look gorgeous around my neck?
Like a robe, kid. You'd hang us both for sure if you ever wore them diamonds. There they are, Palmer. How do you like them?
Very pretty.
Pretty, is that all?
Yeah. I should get excited over diamonds.
Rose cut, the fella told Sophie himself.
Today the demand is square cut.
Well, so what? You can't sell it like that. You got to break it up anyhow.
Just what I was thinking of.
All right. How much?
Now or after I sell them?
Both.
5 G's down, 20 more after I sell them.
Oh, you're nuts. That piece of stuff is worth 50 G's at least. That's what the fella
told Sophie himself. Yeah, I know.
That's what it was insured for, too.
When the insurance company is in it, you can't never get more than half price. Maybe less.
Give me the stuff. I don't let you have it for no 25.
Put it down, Art. I got a phone. I could get a reward from the insurance company. About 10 G's, maybe, without doing nothing but making a call.
Try it and see how long you live.
You ain't no big shot yet, Art. Not until you get the 25 G's. So don't talk about putting anybody away. Any more talk like that, I cut the price. Understand?
Okay. I get it. 25 G's. Sophie will be sore as a boil. She thinks she's going to have all of that to spend herself. Half ain't going to set so well with her.
What's the matter? You scared of the dame?
Me scared? What for?
Dames is tricky sometimes, especially when they get only half of what they expect.
Well, not Sophie. But she'll sure raise the roof.
You want the 5 now?
Natch. She sure will raise the roof.
In what book it says you got to give her anything? Here's your 5 G's, count it. I don't want to gyp nobody.
What do you mean, gotta give her anything?
Get smart, boy. You have a show in this deal yourself?
Planned it, that's all.
Okay. Ever use a telephone, son? Ever use a telephone?
Art, how much? How much did you get?
$5,000 a start.
Let me see it. $5,000. In one place at one time.
Looks big, Sophie?
Awful big.
Wait till you see the other 20. Of course, we got to wait for that until...
Only 20 more?
Yeah. Oh, we'll get it after Palmer breaks up the necklace and sells the stones.
You complete stupid idiot. 25,000.
Look, Sophie, that's all he'd give. He said he'd turn us in for the reward if I didn't leave it with him.
You and your honest sense. Me, I take the risk. I go and play high society and stick my neck out. And you sell me right down the river. $25,000.
Well, no fence ever gives more than half the value.
Not for jerks like you, they don't.
I don't have to take this, Sophie, so shut up.
I will not. I stuck with you through all the penny ante jobs. Finally, we pull up a big one. But good. What happens? You dump it down the sewer, straight into the ash can.
Shut up, I said. Keep your tongue in your face.
Don't you dare talk to me like that.
I'll talk to you any way I please.
Where are you going? Answer me.
I'm going out. You'll be real lucky if I ever come back. Larceny, Lieutenant Turner speaking.
You want something on a Costello-Mercier necklace?
Do we want... Hold the phone a minute.
Nah, you can't trace me. This is a pay telephone. You want the tip?
Who is this?
My name is Rockefeller. I buy diamonds all the time.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Rockefeller. Spill it.
The dame what did the job. She is second floor rear at 17 1/2 South Jackson Boulevard.
She got the rocks?
You nuts. I'm not that crazy.
Hello. Hello. Well, what do you know about that? A break for a change. A nice little break.
Art, you came back. Who are you?
Police, ma'am. What's your name?
I haven't done anything.
No, of course not. What's your name?
Sophie Tarwell. I haven't done anything.
Well, then, Miss Tarwell, I'm sure you won't mind taking a little ride with me and answering a few questions. Look, Sophie, I don't like this any more than you do.
Yeah, sure. That's what my father used to say before he whaled the tar out of me.
I mean it. I got a home to go to.
Lucky you.
Shut up. Don't interrupt me. Now, you're going to tell me, Sophie, all about the Mercier robbery. How you hijacked the necklace, where it went, who has it now.
I'd be very glad to assist the police if I could. They're always such gentlemen. Only it happens I don't have the least idea what you're talking about.
You've been identified, Sophie. While you've been sitting here in the squad room with me, you've been observed and positively identified as the woman who registered as the second Jane Costello.
I don't believe it. Anyhow, an identification like that would never stand up in court. I want a lawyer. I won't talk until I see a lawyer.
We can hold you 24 hours, Sophie, without a lawyer, and we will. You see that little window up there?
So what?
You've been viewed and identified through that little window.
Prove it.
I will. All right, send one of them in. Oh, Mr. Coswell, thank you for helping us.
Lieutenant, I made the identification. Is this absolutely necessary?
I'm afraid so. Miss Tarwell here's rather stubborn. It seems she needs convincing.
Who's this guy?
You know me, Miss Tarwell. I was present when you met the real Jane Costello. I saw you in our hotel daily in your masquerade. The circumstances were sufficiently extraordinary that I would remember you a long, long time.
How much is the insurance company paying you to say that?
Not one penny. Nothing will be paid anyone unless the necklace is recovered.
You're wasting your time. Go on back to your bellhop and your potted palms. I never saw you in my life.
Thank you, Mr. Coswell. Will you send in the next witness, please?
Yes, naturally.
It is a parade. Where's the brass band?
You're a fool, Sophie. Come clean and I'll give you a break.
No cop ever gave anybody a break.
Lieutenant, I simply do not wish to have to face this woman.
Here she is, Mr. Mercier. You know her, don't you?
It is impossible that ever I will forget. So charming, so handsome, and a common thief.
Sing it, Frenchie. Nobody's proved anything. Call me names and I'll sue you for slander.
Heaven forbid. I may go, please, Lieutenant.
All right, Matchan. Send in the next one, will you, please?
Merci, Lieutenant. I'm happy if I have been observed.
Who's next, Lieutenant? The King of England?
Oh, cut it out, Sophie. You'll never beat this rap, and you know it by now.
What seems to be the trouble, Lieutenant? This woman is bright enough to know she's caught.
It gets me, Miss Costello. Unless she thinks she's got a chance.
I've got every chance.
No, you haven't. It's in your eyes.
Never mind what's in my eyes.
May I, Lieutenant?
Help yourself, ma'am.
You're a fool, Sophie. No man is worth 10 to 20 years of a woman's life in prison.
This isn't a play. Stop dramatizing it, Miss Costello.
Afraid, my dear, if it were a play, the critics would pan it. It's no longer fashionable on Broadway for a woman to protect her man. Nor in real life when the man isn't worth it.
Think you're pretty bright, don't you?
No. Not very. But I'm sure you're not a fool, Sophie. No woman who was a fool could carry off the performance you gave in my suite every morning for a month. I don't make friends with fools, Sophie.
Leave me alone, will you? I made my bed, I'll lie in it. Alone.
But why, Sophie? For the man who turned you in?
Nobody turned me in. Nobody.
Why don't you tell her, Lieutenant?
We picked you up on a tip, Sophie. A telephone call from a pay station. From a man.
No. You're making it up. You're trying to get me to say things I won't say. I won't.
That's the truth. Who knew where you were? Who knew you were second floor, rear 17 and a half South Jackson Boulevard?
No, he didn't.
But he did. You know he did. Your heart says no, Sophie, but your brains say yes. Who is he, Sophie? Where's the necklace?
His name is Art Sewell. We've been together for years. I know every job he's ever pulled. I don't know where he is. But you'll find him now. I know that.
And the necklace, Sophie?
A fence. Palmer. The lieutenant will know where to find him. Art took it to him today. They couldn't have broken it up yet.
All right, Lieutenant.
A woman with a woman, Miss Costello.
It's so beautiful. Stones are like fire and ice. I should have worn it once anyway. Like fire and ice, made for a queen. They mustn't break it up. They mustn't. Stop them, Lieutenant. Don't let them spoil it. Please don't let them spoil it. It's too beautiful. Like fire and ice. Like fire and ice.
Crime does not pay. Helen Craig, who starred as Sophie Tarwell in What's in a Name, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Helen Craig.
I think it's pretty clear that Sophie Tarwell was one of the unfortunate people who feel that they have the right to use their wits in any way they can. She wasn't born a criminal. She was made one by lack of training and opportunity to use her talents. When we, people like you and me, have seen to it that everyone receives training and opportunities within his or her ability, crimes like Sophie's will disappear. That will happen because, truthfully, the wrong way of life is always the hard way in the end. Inevitably, one way or another, the offender learns, as Sophie and Art did, that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Helen Craig. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
This I believe. Professor Subodh Chandra Roy was born in India. At the age of 7, he became ill with cholera and ophthalmia. And when he lapsed into a coma, the doctors gave him up. He was carried out into the garden to die. Suddenly, he folded his hands as if in prayer and said, "God, let me live this time." Miraculously, he recovered. But when he was again able to open his eyes, it was discovered that he was totally blind. Now, Dr. Roy states the creed, which has permitted him to surmount this handicap and become a leading philosopher and educator.
To the people endowed with normal physical vision, blindness is one of the most baffling and misunderstood phenomena. Consequently, when I became totally blind at the age of 7, as a result of the combination of ophthalmia and cholera, I at once became the victim of an unwholesome public attitude. At the outset of this visual deprivation, however, I myself was not keenly aware of my differences from others and of the possible consequences of this misfortune. With the passage of time, I became more and more convinced that my blindness, instead of being a hindrance in my life, was a blessing in disguise, conceived from the standpoint of life as a whole, and not in reference to isolated and specific situations. This led me to the firm conviction that suffering is the source of many positive and durable values. I believe with Emerson that suffering is the extract of experience. The aim of life is not happiness, despite the teachings of the hedonistic ethic, but the joy of overcoming. I should make it clear that I did not accept this philosophy of suffering as an expedient measure in order to derive consolation for my own visual handicap. It is one of my strongest spiritual convictions. Having lost my sight at a very early age, and coming from a country where welfare work for the blind is dreadfully backward, I experienced almost insurmountable difficulties in obtaining education and finding a respectable place for myself in the social structure of India. By dint of strenuous efforts and through the grace of God, I was fortunate in getting both. It may be relevant to mention only one of the numerous handicaps and sufferings I went through in order to attain the aforesaid objectives. During my school and college days, not a single book in Braille was available in India. I had to spend days and months in order to transcribe all my textbooks with my own hands from the dictation of sighted friends and relatives. This was very hard, but it had its compensation in the fact that this process of slow transcription rendered my thoughts more clear and my knowledge of language and spelling more accurate. Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence is entirely based on the principle of self-suffering. He declared that the law of suffering never fails. While fighting for the freedom of India, he told us that we should match our capacity to suffer with our opponent's capacity to inflict suffering. I believe that we suffer very often because of our inability to accept suffering as a necessary process of growth. I do not maintain, however, that suffering should be unnecessarily created and multiplied, but I believe that I always obtained immense inspiration and sustenance from this philosophy of suffering. A Chinese proverb has illustrated a part of this thought rather beautifully. You cannot prevent the birds of sorrow from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from building nests in your hair.
They're the beliefs of Dr. Subodh Chandra Roy, who is a professor of philosophy at the New School for Social Research and has made important contributions to the welfare of the blind, both here and in his native India.
Calling all detectives. I don't know whether or not you're superstitious, but I once had a case of a prize fighter who thought he'd been jinxed to death. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, Private Detective. Believe me, Jerry Browning, Private Detective, it doesn't take much to turn a champ into a chump. As I walked into Lefty McGonagall's restaurant, bar, and grill, I saw Kid Boyle and his manager, Jojo, at a table across the room.
Kid Boyle was a clever lightweight who'd been coming up fast. Jojo waved at me, so I strolled over to their table.
Hello, Jerry. Meet Kid Boyle.
Hello, kid. The smart money says you'll take Bartok in your fight tomorrow.
Sure wish I thought so, Jerry. Me, I just told Jojo I'm jinxed. Ain't got a chance.
Jojo, his manager, laughed loudly.
Jerry, this clown just broke a mirror. So right away he thinks he's through.
I pulled out a chair, sat down. Kid, I'm surprised at you. Broken mirrors, black cats, that stuff is hokum right out of the Dark Ages.
You think so?
I know so. Forget it. The kid brightened, began to eat. A minute later, he reached for the salt, spilled some, threw a pinch of it over his shoulder.
That means I'm going to have a fight.
Of course you will. A fight with Bartok tomorrow. And you'd have it whether you spilled the salt or not.
Yeah, that's a fact.
The rest of the dinner went along without trouble. Then I took out cigarettes, passed them around. I lit a match.
Jerry, not 3 on a match. That's the worst kind of bad luck.
Oh, here we go again. Listen, kid, that superstition started several wars ago, when enemy sharpshooters could snipe at a soldier holding a match too long. Ever since, people have been knocking themselves out over it.
Jerry, I think you could cure me of superstition if you'd work for me for a while. How about you dragging me up out of the Dark Ages?
When Kid Boyle hired me to cure him of superstition, I discovered that what he really wanted was for me to bring him good luck. I walked him down the aisle toward the ring the next night. Look, kid, forget superstition. Go in there and knock Bartok kicking.
Yeah, sure. Hey, rub my head for luck, will you, Jerry?
The fight was short and snappy. In the first round, the kid caught Bartok in a neutral corner and hit Bartok with everything except the corner. The fight was over in less than a minute and a half. They shoved the microphone under the kid's nose, asked him how he'd done it.
Nothing to it. I hit him with a lucky punch.
That was enough for me. I talked to the kid's manager in the dressing room. Jojo, the kid's all yours. He doesn't want to be cured of superstition. He wants me for a mascot. I quit as of right now. In the next 6 months, Kid Boyle shot up through the lightweight ranks with a succession of fast KOs. Then one day I got a panicky call from the kid. Could I please come right over? He was in a bad jam.
Jerry, maybe you think it's superstition, but I tell you, this is serious. Marty Morton, the champ, has given me a shot at the title. But the fight is scheduled for Friday the 13th. Who can beat a jinx like that?
His manager looked at me, rolled his eyes.
That ain't the waste of it, Jerry. You know the managers always cut for which one gets the best dressing room for his boy. So we cut. And you know what I cut?
No, what?
He cut the ace of spades, that's what. The ace of spades. It stands for death. Oh, Jerry, I'll be killed in this fight. I'm as good as dead.
Well, I argued, pleaded, bullied. But, kid, you can't lose. The odds are all with you. The smart money is on you. Kid, you'll win and be the best lightweight champ in ring history.
All I ask is one thing, Jerry. Will you come to my funeral?
What can you do with a guy like that? Jojo and I did the only thing possible. We kept him away from reporters. Just the same, the story leaked. Those things always do. And what happened? The odds went even higher in Kid Boyle's favor. Everybody figured the superstition stuff was a gag released by Jojo to push the odds down. On the night of the fight, Friday the 13th, the big arena was a sellout. I had a ringside seat.
I got your ticket right under my corner, Jerry. It's my farewell present to you. You're a good guy. Maybe you'll even be a pallbearer for me.
Maybe the kid thought he was doomed, but from the way he came tearing out of his corner at the bell, it was plain that he intended to die fighting. He had a reputation as a hard, clean hitter. So did the champ, Morton, so there was plenty of action right from the gong. It was a kid's fight almost from the start. He was faster, hit harder than the champ, and in the third round, the champ went down for a short count. He bounced right up again, but anybody could see he'd been hurt. At the end of that round, Jojo took the water bucket from one of the handlers, sponged the kid's face carefully. Just before the bell, the kid leaned over toward me.
Hey, Jerry, sure looks like I was wrong. I'm getting this guy.
Only seconds after the fourth round started, the kid ran into a right hand thrown by Morton. The next instant, he hit the canvas and lay still. Morton went to a neutral corner. The referee started counting, and I got so excited I started to pound the ring post. My hand slipped and went smack up against the sponge with which JoJo had wiped the kid's face. I wiped my wet hand on my jacket. Then I sniffed. Stop the fight! Stop the fight! The kid's been drugged! It was quite a riot while it lasted, but they stopped the fight because I had the evidence. The sponge had been saturated with a drug, and in front of thousands of witnesses, JoJo had swabbed his boy with sleepy sauce. It was an old story. A fight manager who'd made a deal to throw his boy, bet heavily on the opposition to win. He'd played on the kid's superstition, and when that didn't seem to be working, he made doubly sure with the dope.
Please, give me another chance. I'll square myself. Give me a little time.
So they gave him time. 5 years. As for the kid, he got a return match with Morton, won easily, held the championship for almost 5 years, retired undefeated. And as far as I know, was never superstitious again. Like I said, if you get the wishbone, you may think you're lucky. But I ask you to consider what happened to the chicken that had it in the first place. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
For the last time, Walt, please let me go.
Nuts.
Then it has to be this way.
Hap, no, drop that gun.
I'm sorry, Walt. Very sorry. I've known all along you had to die tonight. But I didn't know. I killed you.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in The Man Who Died Yesterday. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by William Morwood is The Man Who Died Yesterday. Afternoon on a little-traveled highway. A strange-looking man in threadbare clothes stands hopefully by the roadside. A car comes around a curve. Slows up. Stops.
Looking for a lift? Are you headed for New York? That's me. Hop in.
Thank you. It's very good of you. I'm in a hurry to reach New York. I haven't much time, you see.
Yeah, sure. I picked you right off for a big executive on his way to a board meeting.
Nothing like that. It's just that, there's something terribly important I've got to do. A mission.
Oh, Salvation Army, huh?
No, United Nations. I have to see the Secretary General before midnight tonight. That leaves me only 8 hours.
The United... You feeling all right, pal?
Yes. I was sick, but I'm feeling fine now.
You don't look so good to me.
Why does it ghost? Of course, you could do with a haircut, too.
I suppose so. I'm afraid I've been out of touch with civilization a long while. By the way, my name is... was David Hepgood.
Hi. I'm Walt Griggs.
Can't you drive any faster, Walt? We've still got a long way to go, and... Well, I'm worried about this part of the road. There's going to be a rock slide. And...
Rock slide? Oh, you mean those signs? That's nothing to worry about. They put them up on... What is it?
It's all right. Keep going, Walt. We got through safely.
Yeah, but there was a rock slide, just like you said.
Of course, but...
How did you know?
I can see ahead, Walt. See into the future. For 24 hours.
The guy was nuts, of course, but... Still, what are the odds against calling a long shot like that? 1,000,000 to 1? 1 billion? I gave up trying to figure it. We drove along for about an hour and then stopped for gas. There was this hamburger joint right by.
Where are we going, Walt?
Grab a bite.
Oh, but there isn't time. I've less than 7 hours now, and by midnight
I gotta gas up anyway, and I'm hungry. Come on, Hep.
Howdy, fellas.
Hello, sugar. Sit down, Hep.
What'll it be, boys?
Hamburger for me, sweetheart, with onions. What's yours, Hep?
I'm not hungry.
Oh, busy with your speech for the United Nations, huh? Well, I'll just read this racing form while you're thinking.
Racing form?
Sure, I play the G's all the time. Got some important dough on today's meet. $50 on Alistair to win in the 6th.
Alistair?
Yep.
I'm afraid you'll lose your money, Walt.
What? Don't kid me. Alistair's a hot favorite. It's going to be a walkaway.
Marble the Third won that race.
Marble? What are you nuts? He's a rank outsider. 100 to... What do you mean won the race? It hasn't been run yet.
Hasn't it? I didn't know.
Look, wait a minute. Sweetheart.
Yeah?
You think you can get the races in the radio?
Oh, sure. It's all tuned in. A lot of our customers like to listen.
Walt, we can't waste time like this. Who can think about a horse race?
I can. Remember my $50.
What?
It's a great race. The crowd is going wild with excitement. They're around the bend now, coming into the straight. Alistair is out in front by 2 lanes. The rest of the horses bunched. Alistair is going strong.
Atta boy, where's your marble, Hap?
Wait.
Entering the last stretch now. It's a walk away for Alistair. 4 lanes ahead and no challengers. Wait a minute. Alistair stumbles. Can't regain stride. He's down.
What?
The jockey's thrown clear, but Alistair... The other horse has gone fast. Number 8 is out in front. Number 8. Marble the third. Marble the third. Marble the third. And Marble wins. Rio!
Turn that
That's
thing off.
fun for the books, folks. The most extraordinary...
I'll be... You knew it all the time, Hap. You knew Marble had to win.
Of course. Walt, we've got to go.
Sure. Sure, Hap. Anything you say. You're the guy I've been waiting for all my life. I didn't need no more figuring to tell me Hap was a gold mine. And I had him first before anybody else could get their hooks into him. The only thing that worried me was the way he talked. All this about midnight, not having much time. I had to use him while I had him, even if it meant taking chances. So while we drove, I worked on a plan.
Walt, we've left the New York Road. The signs are pointing the other way.
I know. I'm taking a shortcut through a town called Hasek.
Hasek?
Yeah. That name mean anything to you, Hap? Hasek? Think hard.
Let me see. There's going to be a hold-up there tonight at the factory. 2 men involved. They steal the week's payroll, $10,000.
$10,000, huh? They get away with it?
There's a chase, but they shake off the police.
Great. Couldn't be better.
Why?
We're the 2 men, Hap. You and me.
What? No, Walt, no, I'm not a criminal. And I've something else to do with what little time I have left.
You're coming with me, Hap. Maybe this will convince you.
The gun doesn't frighten me. Stop the car and let me out. I've got to get to New York.
All right, look, I'll make a deal with you. You come with me on the stick-up, and I'll drive you straight through to New York without stopping. Are you on?
But I can't, Walt. My message concerns the whole world.
That's the only way you'll get to deliver it.
Well, if it is the only way, all right. Well, there's something more I've got to tell you, Walt.
What's that?
We leave a dead man behind.
It was getting dark when we hit town. I drove down the main street and onto the factory building beyond. It was all dark except for a light in the cashier's office. Hap and I went in. There was a guy sitting at a desk.
Who are you? What do you want?
The 10 grand in that safe. This is a stick-up, brother.
You're crazy. There's no chance.
Open up. I'll do the talking.
I warn you, man. You'll be caught for...
Shut up and start turning that dial.
All right. I guess you win.
Come on, snap into it.
I'm doing the best I can.
That's it. Now hand out those greenbacks. Come on, get a move on.
Watch out, Walt. He's turning in an alarm.
Oh, you double-crossing rat. It's the guy that had to be killed, Hap?
Yes.
Okay, then step on it. The cops will be swarming around like flies.
They're gaining on us, Walt.
Can't go any faster. I'm down to the floorboards already.
They'll start shooting soon.
You sure we get away? There's no slip-up?
No. We get away all right.
Good.
Where did they get you, Walt?
I am. What do we do, Hap?
Keep driving till we hit that bend in the road.
Yeah?
There's a clump of willows around the corner. Pull in there.
Okay. Here goes. Stop the lights.
Off.
Like you said.
No hurry. Get back to the New York road. I've less than 3 hours left.
Okay, but I gotta stop and see a doctor.
The doctor?
Sure, my arm. Oh, what's the matter, Hap?
I'm afraid of that doctor. Something happens there that I don't understand.
What is it?
I don't know. That's something I should have explained before. I can see into the future for you, Walt, and for everyone else. But not for myself.
You the doctor?
What can I do for you?
Oh, my arm. I had a little accident. I was cleaning my gun and it went off.
Come into my office.
Okay.
And this man?
He's just a friend of mine. Nothing the matter with him.
I don't agree. Looks much sicker than you do.
No, doctor, really.
Your face, it's the color of...
No, I'm all right. Believe me. Please hurry with my friend.
It'll only take a second. Just get my stethoscope.
Look, let's quit kidding around, Doc. I'm the one that...
Quiet. Good Lord.
What's the matter, Doc? Why are you looking at him like that?
But it's impossible, of course, but there's no heartbeat.
No.
But that's impossible. If your heart wasn't beating, you'd be...
Dead? Yes. I've been dead since yesterday, at midnight.
Staring at him, at the living corpse of the man who died yesterday, Walt and the doctor draw back in horror. Just who is David Hapgood? Perhaps we'll know when the clock strikes 12 for Murder at Midnight. And now, back to Murder at Midnight and The Man Who Died Yesterday.
The goose pimples were standing out on me. Here I'd found the guy, been with him for hours, through a hole-up in a kiln. And now I was hearing from his own lips that he was dead. He gave me the creeps. I wanted to take it on the land, but instead I was froze to the floor. I heard the doc saying,
"You've been dead since yesterday?"
Yes, Doctor.
But that's impossible. There must be some explanation, some obscure heart condition.
There is an explanation, but not that kind. You see, I was cheated out of 24 hours at the time of my birth, and I'm just making up for it now.
How do you mean?
This will sound fantastic to you, but nevertheless it's true. I was born on a ship crossing the international date line. I started coming into the world during the last moments of a Friday and finished up early on Sunday. So I skipped a whole day of my life. I've always been living 24 hours ahead of myself.
But that's shit.
Gospel, Doc. He can call the turn on anything like he was reading tomorrow's paper.
I told you it would sound fantastic, Doctor. But it is true. When I realized it, I tried not to use it for selfish ends. I wanted to help people, but I never could. People would never listen to me, believe me. Finally, I realized that there was no place for me in the world, that man wasn't meant to know the future. So I went away, up into the woods.
How long ago?
About 10 years ago. Away from civilization, it was easier. I still knew what was going to happen, of course, but with no way to communicate my knowledge, my conscience was at rest. That is, until last night.
Last night?
I had caught a cold. It developed into pneumonia. I was deathly sick. I couldn't breathe, and lost consciousness. Then suddenly, at midnight, I was well. Quite well. Not a trace of my illness. I knew what had happened, of course. I was dead. But I still had my missing day to live. I knew I must use it for the benefit of mankind.
How?
There's something I know. Something that involves the fate of millions of people. Unless some action's taken within the next few hours.
What action? What is it?
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you, Doctor. I can't tell anyone except the Secretary General of the United Nations. And I must reach him before midnight, before I'm really dead.
It's getting on to 10 o'clock.
Now do you understand why I'm in such a hurry?
I'll see. Let's get going, Hap. Never mind about my arm. That can wait.
No, listen to me, Hap. You can't leave.
What?
As far as your being able to read the future is concerned, well, it doesn't matter whether I believe that or not, but that heart condition of yours, that's something unique in medical history. Now, you've got to let me take you to a hospital where it can be studied properly.
Lay off that stuff.
I'll phone for an ambulance.
Stay away from that phone. He's mine.
Yours. Do you realize what this can mean to science?
Don't give me that talk. You just want to grab him off for yourself.
Nonsense!
Stop it, both of you. I don't belong to anyone. I'm not a specimen to be examined. I've got a mission to perform for all of civilization. I've got to get to the United Nations.
Now, no matter how you've been deluding yourself, young man, you're terribly sick. I'm going to phone the hospital.
Okay, you asked for it.
I must get away from here.
Hap, come back here. Come back here. Okay, if you're dead, it won't hurt you, and if you're not...
Oh!
Holy smoke. That bullet went right through you and only knocked you down.
Let go of me, Walt.
Try to run away, huh?
I've got to get to New York. Nothing can stop.
You're coming with me, Hap. I got plans for us as long as you last.
You've got your 10,000. What more do you want?
A chance to run it up to 100,000, and we can do it. I know the police, and you can call the cars.
But there's no time.
I'm figuring on only a couple of hours. That's plenty.
Listen, Walt. I'm asking you for the last time. Let go. Do a decent thing for once in your life.
Nuts.
What I'm trying to do, it's for you as much for millions of others.
I never gave a cuss about the others, and I'm not starting now.
All right, Walt. And it has to be this way.
Hap, drop that gun.
Oh! I'm sorry, Walt. Very sorry. I've known all along that you had to die tonight. But I didn't know that I'd kill you.
Kind of a silent type, ain't you?
Sorry?
Oh, that's all right. I don't like fellas that gab too much. You know, it was nice of you to pick me up back there on the road.
I was lonely. Besides, I needed reassurance.
How's that?
You see, I've been out of touch with civilization for some time, and the people I've met today weren't inspiring.
You're a strange guy, do you know it?
Am I?
Yeah, I mean, the way you talk and look. You don't look quite real. Oh, now don't get me wrong. I like you a lot.
Oh, I'm glad.
Well, for instance, we've been driving for nearly an hour now, and you haven't even made a pass at me once.
I'm afraid that wouldn't do either of us much good.
Yeah, but just the same, a girl appreciates a little thing like that. Incidental, what's your name?
You can call me Hap.
Hi, Hap. I'm Hazel.
How do you do?
Well, I guess I ought to tell you something about myself.
Well, I know a little already.
Huh?
You're going to New York to find your fiancé, aren't you?
Yeah, a guy called... Say, how'd you know that?
You're going to look him up in the phone book and call. Then you're going to find out that he's married.
What? Oh, you're kidding me. Jim wouldn't do a thing like that. He'd wait for me forever. He said he would. And hey, why are we stopping?
Almost out of gas.
Howdy, folks.
Fill her up as quickly as possible.
Okay.
How far to New York from here?
Well, you ought to be at George Washington Bridge in about 10 minutes.
Fine.
You folks hear about all the excitement on the highway?
No, what happened?
Well, the cops are looking for a crazy killer. Murdered 3 people. One was a stick-up. The other 2 was a doctor and his own sidekick.
Oh, what's he look like?
Well, according to the radio, he's got a chalk white face, a mop of hair that looks like it hasn't been cut in weeks, no hat, and...
What's the matter, Bud? What are you staring at?
Your friend, I gotta get something out of the office. I'll be back in a minute.
He's going to phone the police. This is your chance to get out, Hazel.
Oh, no, I'm staying with you, Hap. Now, you better get moving and keep moving. No sign we're being followed. We may make it yet.
Are you frightened, Hazel? Being with me?
I guess I should be, but I'm not.
Thank you.
Somehow I can't believe you're crazy. If you killed anyone, you knew what you were doing and you had a good reason.
Thank you again. You don't know what that means to me.
Have people always been scared of you, Hap?
Most people. Till I met you. Why couldn't I have met you sooner, Hazel?
Well, what's wrong with now?
It's a little late.
Not for me.
You honestly mean that?
Sure.
Well, then perhaps it's going to be all right after all. Perhaps we'll meet again.
What do you mean?
I didn't mean to tell you this. Perhaps I shouldn't now. It may cause you pain.
Go ahead. I can stand it.
After you call Jim your fiancé and find that he's married, you start across the street in a daze. Tex is driving too fast and...
Got my number on it, huh?
Yes, I'm sorry. And yet, in a way... What did that sign say, Hazel?
George Washington Bridge, 2 miles.
Oh, I'm going to make it. There's still time. The Secretary General is in his home. But let me in when they hear my message. I'll have most of an hour with him. It's not quite 11 yet.
11? Hey, your watch must have stopped.
What?
Look, there's a clock in the building.
Where?
Up to the right, there.
3 minutes of 12. Oh.
Well, what's the matter, Hap?
Oh, I can't make it. Oh, I've lost. Unless... a telephone. There's still time for that.
Well, why are you stopping here? There's no phone.
In that house, the family's all in bed upstairs. There's a telephone in the parlor.
But the door's sure to be
They've
locked.
forgotten to latch the parlor window.
Hey, how do you know all these things?
Never mind now. Goodbye, Hazel.
But I'll be waiting here.
No, you'd better start down the road. The police mustn't find you.
But when you come back, I'll be here.
I won't be back, Hazel. This is goodbye. For keeps.
But you've got to come back. You've got to.
Operator, get me the Secretary General of the United Nations at his home. Hurry, please. It's urgent. Hello? The Secretary General, please. It's terribly important. No, I've got to speak to him personally. Midnight. Hello? Will you get him for me? There's no time left and... Never mind. I'll tell you. It's about...
this window. Better go in and have a look.
There was a girl with him when he left my gas station. She ought to be around.
Where's the light?
Here. There he is, on the floor. And he looks...
He's dead, all right.
No wonder. Look at that hole in his chest.
Wait a minute. There's something funny here. That wound never bled.
Huh?
The only way that could happen is if he was dead before the bullet hit him.
Two men staring at a corpse that is finally still. And still forever. The corpse of the man who died yesterday. While outside, somewhere in the night, a restless spirit keeps a rendezvous that none can avoid. And the distant clocks chime the last notes in epilogue for Murder at Midnight. Remember to be with us again when death brings time to a full stop and the clocks strike 12 for Murder at Midnight. The part of David Hapgood was played by Stuart Brody. Vandell Kramer was Walt. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I believe. Tonight, the statement of a classical scholar from the South. Miss Susan Parker Cobbs of Alabama, now Dean of Women of Swarthmore College.
It has not been easy for me to meet this assignment. We have so many changing and transitory beliefs, besides the ones most central to our lives. I hope that what I say won't sound either too simple or too pious. I know that it is my deep and fixed conviction that man has within him the force of good and the power to translate that force into life. For me, this means a pattern of life that makes personal relationships more important, a pattern that makes more beautiful and attractive the personal virtues, courage, humility, selflessness, and love. I used to smile at my mother because the tears came so readily to her eyes when she heard or read of some incident that called out these virtues. I don't smile anymore because I find I have become more and more responsive in the same inconvenient way to the same kind of story. And so I believe that I both can and must work to achieve the good that is in me. The words of Socrates keep coming back to me. The unexamined life is not worth living. By examination, we can discover what is our good, and we can realize that knowledge of good means its achievement. I know that such self-examination has never been easy. Plato maintained that it was the soul's eternal search. It seems to me particularly difficult now. In a period of such rapid material expansion and such widespread conflicts, black and white have become gray and will not easily separate. There is a belief which follows from this. If I have the potential of the good life within me and the compulsion to express it, then it is a power and a compulsion common to all men. What I must have for myself to conduct my search, all men must have. Freedom of choice, faith in the power and the beneficent qualities of truth. What frightens me most today is the denial of these rights, because this can only come from the denial of what seems to me the essential nature of man. For if my conviction holds, man is more important than anything he has created, and our great task is to bring back again into a subordinate position the monstrous superstructures of our society. I hope this way of reducing our problems to the human equation is not simply an evasion of them. I don't believe it is. For most of us, it is the only area in which we can work, the human area, with ourselves, with the people we touch, and through these two, by vicarious understanding, with mankind. I watch young people these days wrestling with our mighty problems. They are much more concerned with them than my generation of students ever was. They are deeply aware of the words equality and justice. But in their great desire to right wrong, they are prone to forget that causes are people, that nothing matters more than people. They need to add to their crusades the warmer and more affecting virtues of compassion and love. And here again come those personal virtues that bring tears to the eyes. One further word. I believe that the power of good within us is real and comes there from a source outside and beyond ourselves. Otherwise, I could not put my trust so firmly in it.
That was Miss Susan Parker Cobbs, Dean of Women at Swarthmore College, who can apply the wisdom and faith of the ancient Greeks to the current troubled world. Perhaps it is permissible to congratulate the students of Swarthmore who have the privilege of her guidance.
Another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective. Tonight's curious adventure,
The Double Disguise, for Nick Carter and the mystery of the kidnapped heiress.
Pardon me, but could you tell me which way to Bond Avenue, please?
Bond Avenue? Why, yes. We'll just walk 3 blocks
okay,
straight
mister.
ahead.
It's a stick-up.
What?
Yeah. Hand it over and be quick about it.
Hand what over?
Your wallet, of course. Come on.
Oh, come now. Isn't it quite late in the evening for this sort of thing?
There's nothing funny about this. I mean business.
You haven't been in the business very long, have you?
That's enough talk. Just hand it over. Hand it over, I'll shoot.
You really would shoot me, would you?
Yes. This is your last chance. Please, I don't want to have to kill you.
Okay. But you won't find very much.
All right, I'll take that toy pistol now.
There.
Oh. You knew all the while.
Sure. Would have fooled most people, but you just happened to pick on the wrong man. I'm Nick Carter.
Nick Carter? Gosh, I guess I did. My name is Brown. Chester Brown.
Well, Mr. Brown, let's have it. What's the story? You're no gunman.
Oh, you're right, Mr. Carter. I've never done this sort of thing before.
Well, why'd you try to hold me up, then?
Oh, I was desperate. I've been out of work for 3 months now.
In times like these?
Yes, I know, but I'm a salesman. There's no need for them now.
How about manual work?
I tried that, but my heart isn't very strong.
Oh, I see. Married?
Yes, I was married 6 months ago.
Where do you live?
I live in a couple of rooms in a boarding house. Only a few blocks from here, Mr. Carter. Why do you ask?
I'd like to go home with you and meet your wife.
Oh, That means you aren't going to turn me over to the police.
No, not yet at least.
Oh, thanks.
But one never knows, Mr. Brown. Let's go.
Right this way, Mr. Carter. Stella! Oh, Stella! Stella! That's strange. She isn't home.
Maybe she went out for a while.
At this time of night? She'd be back by now. What does it mean?
Well, it probably doesn't mean much. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a note. Perhaps this will explain things.
Here, let me have it. Dear Chet, I'll be gone for a few days. Don't worry about me. All our troubles will soon be over. We're coming into a fortune. I can't explain any more now. You're Stella.
Well, congratulations.
Ah, look what's enclosed.
$100 bill. May I see it, please?
Oh, here you are. Gosh, I can't believe it. It's too good to be true.
Tell me, Mr. Brown, is your wife any rich relatives?
Rich relatives? Never heard her speak of any. Mother and father no longer living. Well, she has an uncle, a man by the name of James Spear. He lives somewhere out in Colorado. Maybe it's he.
Yes, maybe.
What are you doing, Mr. Carter?
Just checking the number on this bill against the list I have here.
But why? What is it?
Mr. Brown, I'm afraid my congratulations were a bit premature.
What do you mean?
Have you read the evening paper?
No, I haven't seen a paper all day. Why?
Michael Stillfield, the banker, was murdered last night. $10,000 was stolen from his private vault in one of the cleverest safe-cracking jobs seen here in years.
Yeah, what's that got to do with this?
The stolen money consisted of $100 bills.
So what?
The bill your wife left for you was one of those stolen by the murderer.
Oh, but Mr. Carter, she had nothing to do with that.
I feel sure of that, Mr. Brown.
Well, then why should you want to...
Suppose you went out tomorrow morning and tried to spend that bill. What would have happened?
Why, Oh, I see. I'd have probably been arrested as the murderer.
Exactly.
But why did she leave that bill for me?
Because she's as much the victim of this frame-up as you are. Brown, if my hunch is correct, someone's trying to make trouble for you and for her.
Oh, but Mr. Carter, why should...
Don't ask questions yet. Just listen to me. Pack up a bag and get out of here tonight. Go to 73 Bleecker Avenue. That's a rooming house run by friends of mine on the other side of town. Sit tight until you hear from me. Don't tell anyone where you are and don't use your right name.
But suppose my wife comes back.
I said to leave it all in my hands.
Oh, but why?
Now, don't be a fool. If you don't follow my directions, you may be dead before morning.
So you don't think either Brown or his wife had anything to do with the murder, Nick?
No, Patsy, I don't. Too obvious a frame-up.
A frame-up?
Yes, don't you see? The murderer persuades Mrs. Brown to go somewhere with him on some pretext or other and gives her one of the stolen bills to leave for her husband, who's sure to be arrested if he tries to spend it.
But why should the murderer want to pin the job on Mr. Brown?
That I don't know the answer to, Patsy. Except that for some reason or other, he wants to get Brown out of the way. Hello?
Hello, Nick. I'm glad I found you in.
Oh, Riley, what is it?
You still say you're not interested in the Stillfield killing?
Well, as a matter of fact, Riley, something's happened since you spoke to me about it. I've changed my mind.
Oh, so you've heard already?
Heard? What?
About the big Postal Express robbery down on Front Street. That's where I'm calling from.
I know, that's news to me. What did they get, Riley?
$40,000 in negotiable bonds. Right out of the vault, Nick.
Not bad.
Yes, and this is the interesting part.
Yeah?
You know who those bonds were being shipped to? Michael Stillfield.
Stillfield? Okay, Riley, thanks. I'll be right down. Well, Patsy, this thing gets more interesting by the minute. Let's go.
Here you are, Nick. Hello, Patsy.
Hello, Terry.
Well, Riley, let's have a look.
Sure thing, Nick. Come on inside. Now, this is Mr. Johnson, Nick. He's in charge of the express office.
How do you do?
So glad you came, Mr. Carter. Nothing like this has happened in the 30 years I've been with the company.
Well, I suppose there's always a first time, Mr. Johnson.
That's the vault over there, Mr. Carter.
Oh, thanks. certainly don't come any finer.
That's true, Mr. Carter. Absolutely burglar-proof. Or so we thought.
Was anything else taken?
No, just the bonds. And they're as good as cash, you know.
When did you discover that they were missing?
This morning. They were put in that vault last night. I watched the bookkeeper do it myself.
I see. And you were the one who closed the vaults?
That's right. I closed it and adjusted the time mechanism myself.
Well, seems to be intact.
That's just it, Mr. Carter. I can't understand it. Neither the vault lock nor the time attachment have been tampered with.
It looks like the devil's own work.
It's absolutely incredible, Mr. Carter. But there you have it. The safe was open and the bonds are gone.
Well, what do you make of it, Nick?
There aren't many men who could have pulled off this kind of a job.
Well, you're right there, Nick. As a matter of fact, I don't know anybody but Nick Carter could have done it. He's that handy with locks of all kinds.
You have some idea, Mr. Carter?
You say the bonds were put in the vault last night?
Yes, that's right.
About what time would you say?
Well, we received them from the west on the 5 o'clock train.
Did you say from the west?
Well, yes, they came from Colorado.
And they were addressed to Michael Stillfield?
That's right. And they were put in the vault a little after 5. And as you already know, that's the last we were seen of them.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I don't think we need bother you any further.
I do hope you'll be able to track down that thief.
It's more than a thief you've put me on the track of. The man we're looking for, Mr. Johnson, is a murderer.
What was that stuff you were giving Johnson about looking for a murderer, Nick?
That's exactly what I meant, Riley.
You mean there's a connection between the murder of Michael Stillfield and this robbery, Nick?
You catch on fast, Patsy.
How do you figure it, Nick?
Well, in both cases, it was Stillfield's property that was stolen. And in both cases, there was a remarkable safe-cracking job, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Looks like it could be the same ones, all right.
And you recall where Johnson said those bonds came from?
Yes, from Colorado, Nick.
Sure, I remember his saying that, but what's that got to do with it?
Just a hunch, Riley. By judging by the way these two safes are broken into, I think I know who probably did it.
Huh? Who?
Clint Bartow.
Clint Bartow?
Oh, you're having me believing the dead come to life again, Nick. Why, don't you remember? He was reported dead 5 years ago up in Canada someplace.
Yes, but where Clint Bartow's concerned, I don't have much faith in that kind of a report. He's the most dangerous and resourceful criminal on the continent. Riley, I wouldn't be surprised that he had that report circulated purposely.
Well, no, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Furthermore, I suggest you make a thorough check on the background of Michael Stillfield, the murdered banker. An idea there may be some interesting facts turned up.
Okay, Nick, it's as good as done.
When you get the information... Wow.
What is it, Nick?
We're being followed.
Huh? Well, not for long we won't be. Now just let me...
Wait a minute. I want to handle this my own way, Riley. You continue on the way you're going. Patsy and I'll turn up this side street.
Okay, Nick. I'll be seeing you. So long.
So long, Riley. All right, Patsy, come along this way.
Is he still following, Nick?
Yeah. He's hanging on, all right. Mm-hmm. Here. Into this doorway here.
Okay. Now what?
Well, just wait. He'll be along. Yeah, here he comes now. Stay here, Patsy.
Be careful, Nick.
There, you. What's the idea of following me?
What? Who? Me?
Yes, you. You've been tailing me ever since... Oh, no, you don't.
Hey, let go of me. I ain't done nothing, mister.
No, not yet you haven't. Now talk, my friend. And let's hear something interesting.
Okay. I was tailing you.
That's what I thought. What's your game?
Oh, not my game. It was some bloke I met near the express office.
Yes? What about this bloke?
Well, he says there's a 10 spot in it for me if I keep an eye on you all day. You know, see where you go and what you do.
Well, then what?
Well, that's all, mister. And I was supposed to report back tonight at 8 with a dope and get paid.
I see. Where were you supposed to report back?
Beach Street, opposite the railway station.
What did this man look like?
Oh, you can't miss him, mister. He's about 6'6", dark hair, and he has a long curved nose.
Wow, so he's the one.
Oh, you know him, huh?
Yes, I think I do. You were offered $10, you say? Here's 20.
What for?
For forgetting all about reporting back, see?
Oh, I get it. Sure thing. Thanks.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
I want to get a good look at you.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I shan't forget what you look like in a hurry. Now beat it, and remember, stay out of my way.
Okay, mister.
All right, Patsy, come on.
What now, Nick?
We're going back to the office. I've got a special job to do now that requires a complete change of wardrobe. In fact, Patsy, a complete change of everything. There, that does it. Hand me that mirror, will you, Patsy?
Mm-hmm. Here you are, Nick.
Not bad. Well, Patsy, do you think I look like the man who was following us?
Simply perfect, Nick. Why, I positively couldn't tell the two of you apart now.
Now, the voice. Okay, lady, thanks. Well, I guess I better blow it. The mob's waiting for me.
Nick.
Yes, what is it, Patsy?
I'm afraid of what you may be letting yourself in for.
Oh, now, don't worry. I'll be watching my step.
You better. Make one false move with Barto.
Yes, Patsy, I know the kind of man I'm up against. Hello? Oh, yes, Riley. Oh, you did, huh? What'd you find? I see. Yeah, well, that's fine, Riley. Oh, no. I've got a plan of my own. Yeah, I'll do that. All right, Riley, thanks. Bye.
What is it, Nick?
Patsy, my suspicions were right. The report came through on Michael Stillfield. He proves to be none other than James Spear.
Spear? You mean Mrs. Brown's uncle?
Right. Seems he made his money out west many years ago, then got into some difficulties there. Changed his name and came east.
And he never got in touch with his niece?
Apparently not.
Well, then that fortune Mrs. Brown spoke about in her note is true.
Yes. According to his will, she becomes sole heir to the entire estate, being his only surviving relative.
Well, not bad.
If she lives, Patsy.
If she lives? Well, why shouldn't she live, Nick?
Well, the person she left home with last night must be the same person who killed Stillfield. The $100 bill she left for her husband proves that.
And you think that...
I think that if that person is Barto, she's in very real danger. Stillfield owned the fortune and was killed. Now Mrs. Brown owns it, and she may very well be next on the list.
I see what you mean.
What time is it now, Patsy?
7:30.
Okay, I better be off. I'm going to keep my 8 o'clock date.
You will be careful, Nick.
Yes, of course I will. You know what you're to do.
Yes, I'll do just what you told me.
Good. Well, so long, Patsy. I'll be seeing you.
I hope so, Nick. I hope so.
Well, 8 o'clock. And this is the corner, all right. But nobody seems to be shy. Wait. Oh.
You waiting for someone, Bud?
Yeah. I was supposed to meet a guy here at 8.
Okay, I guess you're the one. Follow me.
Where are we going?
I'm taking you to the boss.
Where's that?
You'll find out. Come on. Here we are. Just a minute. It's me, boss. Is this the guy, boss?
Yeah. Come in. Close the door, Malone.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you find out?
I followed the guy like you said.
Well?
How about that tent spot you promised?
Don't worry, you'll get it. Now, what happened?
Nothing.
What do you mean?
I tailed the guy to a house on Elm Street. He went in. I didn't see him come out all day.
I see. Well, okay, you did a good job. Here's the tent.
Anything else, mister? I could use more dough. And I in particular how I make it. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You see, I figure you must have some kind of a racket, mister.
Mm-hmm. Very clever reasoning on your part.
Yeah. I'd sort of like to get in on it. That is, if you could use a guy like me.
Maybe I could. You don't happen to know the name of that man you were following, do you?
Never seen him before.
Well, it was Nick Carter.
Nick Carter?
Mm-hmm.
Who's he?
Never heard of him, eh? Well, he's just about the greatest detective this side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, this Carter must be quite a guy.
Quite a guy is right. With quite a bag of tricks. He's the one man that stood between me and a fortune on 3 different occasions.
Put you in the jug, huh?
No, not quite. But on account of him, I've had to lay low the last 5 years. Now I've got another fortune within my grasp, and he's not going to stand in my way again. No, sir. I'll see to that.
Yeah, worked out a scheme, huh?
Yeah. Beautiful one. Beautiful and simple.
He's going to be hoist by his own petard.
Come again?
One of his own great tricks is going to be his undoing.
I don't get you.
All right, Nick Carter. You can come out from under that trick voice now. Keep him covered, Malone.
Yeah, right. Well, congratulations, Bardo. I was sure I had you fooled.
It was a neat job, Carter. Your resemblance to Trigger is absolutely uncanny.
Trigger?
Yeah, one of my own men.
Oh.
It was all frame, and you fell for it. Knowing you and your tricks, I figured that's exactly what you do.
And now that I'm here, what do you propose to do?
Something I should have done a long time ago. This is the end of the road for you, Carter.
Bardo, I think you're bluffing.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do. Why'd you have to go to all this trouble? You could have had one of your men shoot me in the street.
No, Carter, I had a special reason for wanting to bring you here alive.
Yeah? What's that?
I wanted to see the look on your face when I opened the door to this inner room and you saw this.
What? Chester Brown?
Yeah. And I assure you he wouldn't be sleeping so peacefully if he knew what I was planning for him. And for you. Hey, you wake up. Wake up. You've got company. Nah, you gave him too much of that dope, Malone. You might have killed him.
So what, boss? Ain't that what you want?
Yeah, but I want him to wait until Mr. Carter could keep him company. I want them to go out together. Come on, you. Wake up. You may not believe it, Brown, but this tough-looking thug is really our old friend Nick Carter.
Oh, so it's you, Mr. Carter.
I thought I told you to hide away at that address I gave you.
I did. These guys found out where I was.
Did you tell anybody where you were?
No, nobody. I just gave my address to my old landlady so she could forward my mail.
Right boy, isn't he, Carter? Well, now that I've got you both here together, I'm going to hang you both together. Trigger.
Yeah, boss?
Come in here. Help Malone tie this great detective up while I keep him covered.
It'll be a pleasure, boss. Hello there, detective. And thanks again for that 20.
Don't mention it.
You want this other guy too, boss?
Yeah, get him up in his feet. I want to watch them dance together.
Yeah. Come on, you. Come on up, sonny boy. Okay, boss. All set.
Did you frisk him?
Yeah, he's clean. Here's his gun.
All right, then.
God, what are they going to do?
Looks as if they mean to hang us.
No, they can't do that. You can't. I haven't done it.
He's like a stuck pig. Be like Carter. He isn't saying a word.
I still don't believe you're going through with this, Bardo.
No. Get Carter's rope over the rafter at this end. Put Brown's rope over the other end.
Come on. There you are, boss.
Good. Now a couple of chairs for him to stand on.
See here, Bardo. You've nothing to gain by murdering us in cold blood this way. You killed one man already. You've stolen $50,000. What more do you want?
$50,000? That's spin money. Stillfields is worth $5 million.
What about it?
That fortune's going to be mine, every cent of it. And you're the only man that might stop me, so I'm taking no chances.
I know you're clever, Bardo, but I can't see how you're going to get your hands on Steelfield's money now that he's dead.
On the contrary, Carter, that's what makes it all so simple. Because it makes Mrs. Brown his sole heir. And Mrs. Brown has been led to believe, by something that I said, that I'm a lawyer. And she's already turned over to me all the credentials necessary to claim her uncle's fortune. I'm sure my own wife will have no trouble at all convincing the real lawyers that she is Mrs. Brown. The real Mrs. Brown, poor woman, won't be with us very long, I'm afraid.
Why, you thieves, you devil, get after you. Oh. So that's your devilish scheme, is it?
Yes, and it's a scheme that I'm sure is going to pay off.
I don't think so, Bardo.
What do you mean?
You really don't think I was foolish enough to come up here without taking certain precautions?
Such as what?
The police know exactly where I am. I'm afraid the laugh's on you, Bardo.
Yeah? Look out of the window, Trigger.
Okay. I don't see nothing. Hey, wait. Say, there is a cop across the street.
What's he doing?
Just stand there.
Hey, maybe there's something to it, boss. Let's get the thing over with and beat it.
Okay. Maybe what you said was so, Carter. But it isn't going to help you much. Get them up in the chairs, boys.
Right.
Come on. Out you go.
Come on. Up you go.
Yeah, that's it. Are the ropes tied fast, Malone?
Yeah, boss. Both of them are okay.
Well, goodbye, Mr. Brown and Mr. Carter.
No, you can't.
Okay.
In the street.
Kick the chairs away, boys. Dance, Carter. Dance. All right, boys. Let's get back to the hideaway.
that was his plan, Patsy.
Yes, Lieutenant.
I see.
If Nick didn't come out in a half an hour, we would have going after him.
The time's just about...
Oh, look, Lieutenant.
What is it, Patsy?
There's 3 men leaving the building. They're getting into that car.
Yeah, and in an awful hurry, too. Come on, Patsy, let's go in.
Nick, where are you?
Nick Carter, are you here?
Try this door.
It's not here. Try that one over there.
He's not here.
It's getting so dark you can't... Patsy, listen.
Here I am.
Oh, Nick, are you all right?
Oh, let me find the light here.
Oh, Nick, what's happened? What are you
They
doing?
tried to hang us.
Hang you?
Who's that with you, Nick?
That's Brown. Nearly passed out.
Oh.
But I think he's going to pull through now.
Oh, Nick, are you all right now?
Yeah, I'm okay. My throat's pretty sore, but I'll live long enough to see Bardo and his men behind bars.
Oh, take it easy, Nick. There's time enough for that.
No, there isn't, Riley. Patsy, you stay here with Brown. Look out for him. Riley, where's your car?
It's just on the block. Why?
We haven't a second to lose. We gotta follow Bardo.
Huh?
Every minute counts now. The woman's life's at stake.
There's no sign of him yet, Nick.
Oh, that's all right, Riley. Keep straight ahead on this road. Hey, do you have an extra gun in the car?
Yeah, you'll find one under the seat there.
Good. Oh, yes. Here it is.
Well, how does your head feel, Nick?
Much better now.
How did you ever get loose, Nick? They actually had you strung up, didn't they?
They sure did. I can still feel it.
Well, how did you do it?
Well, after they tied my wrists, I got Bardo to talking. That gave me time to work them loose.
Oh, you mean you swelled your wrists when they tied them so that when you relaxed, they'd be so much smaller, huh?
Mm-hmm. Except that having my hands free wouldn't have helped me much if Bardo and his men hadn't left right away. Fortunately, they saw you coming across the street, and they ran as soon as they strung us up.
Well, what did you do then, Nick?
By that time, I'd worked my hands loose. So I grabbed the rope above my head and pulled myself up.
Phew, that was close.
Yes, it was. I cut the rope with a little drake knife that's built into my tie clasp. I never thought to look for one there. Then I cut Brown down. Poor fellow, he was almost gone.
Well, thank heavens you outsmarted them, Nick. As for Barto, that dirty, murdering, no-good scoundrel like it. Huh?
It's a car ahead of us.
Oh, is that the right one, Nick?
Let me see. So much dust on that. 3J20R7. Is that last? Oh, 6. Yes, that's the car. All right, now take it easy, Riley. I don't want him to get suspicious.
Right. Yeah, they're turning up that dirt road there, Nick. Shall I follow them?
Say, I know where that hideout is now.
Oh, you do?
Yes, must be the old Fairbanks Cave, not far from here. Bardo used it before. You stop the car here. If luck's with us, this is the end of the trail. And the end of Barto. Yeah, that's it over there, Riley. See it now?
Yeah, we got him cornered like rats, Nick. All we have to do now is sit tight and wait for him to come out.
No, that won't do. They've got Mrs. Brown in there. We gotta get in before it's too late.
Hey, Nick, there's someone coming out.
It's Trigger. Come on, Riley. This is our chance. Quiet now. We'll creep up on him.
I'm right with you, Nick.
You get behind him. Oh! Ah, that was worth $20. Now for the boss himself.
Well, boss, when are we going to get it over with?
Right now, Malone. Did you take a look at her?
Yeah, she's all tied up the way we left her.
All right. Say, Trigger. Trigger.
Yeah, boss, coming.
What's up? That special little job on the lady inside. We're going to take care of that right now.
Then what, boss?
What do you mean, then what? Then we bury her, of course. That's the end of Mrs. Brown. Then my wife takes over, claims the fortune, and we're all set for life.
Oh, yeah. I was forgetting that you're going to palm the wife off as Mrs. Brown.
You talk too much, Trigger. I prefer action.
And so do I. Get your hands up, Clint Bardo, and you too, Malone.
Hey, what is this?
Boss, that's... Hoist by his own petard, eh, Bardo?
Carter.
They caught it. It can't be, boss.
But it is. Now back up, both of you, and keep those hands up high. All right.
Yeah, Nick.
Come on in.
Good work, Nick. Were you in time?
Yes, Mrs. Brown's okay. She's inside there.
Well, I guess we can call it a day, Nick. You saved the lives of the Browns, and we got Barto and his gang where we can put him away forever.
Yes, Riley, that's true. Clint Barto and his tricks. Hoist by his own petard.
Huh? What in the world does that expression mean, Nick?
That? Oh, it's an old Hindu proverb, Riley. It means, men who make noose for other fellow sometime find it around own neck.
another of the strange adventures of Nick Carter, Master Detective, which are brought to you regularly at the same time by WOR Mutual. What's on the menu for next week, Nick?
Imagine a murderer sitting in a death cell at State's Prison. It's just 8 hours before he's scheduled to die in the electric chair.
And then suddenly he sends for Nick Carter to prove he's innocent.
Well, why did he wait so long before he sent for Nick?
Well, that's all a part of the story, Joe.
But I want to tell you that the next 8 hours are about the busiest 8 hours that Nick ever spent.
And was he innocent?
That's also a part of next week's story.
In other words, Mr. Ripley, we're just not telling anymore until next week.
So I see.
But I think when you've heard it, you'll agree that it's a story well worth hearing. So long.
So long, folks.
So long to both of you for another week. In the strange adventure you have just heard, Nick Carter was impersonated by Lon Clark, Patsy by Helen Choate. The story was written for Nick Carter by Ralph Berkey. Original music was played by Lou White. The entire production was under the direction of Jock McGregor. Next week, at the same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter entitled
9 Hours to Live, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Death House.
This story is a copyrighted feature of Street & Smith Publications, Incorporated. The Return of Nick Carter is produced in the studios of WOR and is broadcast over most of these stations every Saturday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Wartime. This is Mutual.
This I believe. Young people's wisdom and courage often startle their elders. In this opinion, I feel that renowned federal jurist Judge Augustus Hand would concur. His granddaughter, Miss Susan Savage, an alumna of Bryn Mawr, has just begun her first job at 22, teaching history at New York City's Chapin School. Here, the beliefs she brought with her.
If someone had asked me a year ago what I believed in, I could not have answered, partly because I'd done very little serious thinking to find out what I did believe, partly because I was going through about the hardest experience I ever had to face. It is just over a year ago that my mother died very suddenly. It is hard now to talk about this dispassionately, but I've learned one thing over the course of the past year, that for me, belief in anything, a really lasting one, can come only as a result of adversity, which will either strengthen or weaken what I think I believe. I believe, first of all, in the innate strength of human character. If someone had told me that my mother was going to die very soon, I would not have thought it possible to go on without her. I like to think that we were a very close mother-daughter combination, enjoying each other's companionship. I always felt that I could tell her everything, and knew that she would respect my confidences. Somehow I have been able to go on without her. Somewhere within me, and certainly within the other members of my family, has come a strength and a courage which we never knew we had until we were forced to make use of it. I don't mean to sound as though we just pulled ourselves together and went on. It hasn't been easy at all. We've known periods of bitterness and unbelievable loneliness. But never have I felt that I just wanted to quit. There was always something that wouldn't let me. Probably as a result of this experience, I've begun to develop, to use the words of the ancient poet Horace, a carpe diem philosophy. I don't believe that our lives are planned out for us and that we follow a given course blindly. I do believe that we cannot know what will happen next, and so we should make the most of what we have, taking our happy times as they come, meeting the troubles and sorrows as they come, without seeking to know what tomorrow will bring. That may just be a childish refusal to face the future, but I cannot help thinking of a children's story by Dorothy Canfield Fisher, which ended with one character saying, "Live while you live, then die and be done with it." I would like to say that I believe in the immortality of the soul, but I'm not sure that I do. That concept is at the foundation of the Christian religion, and I can't say that my religion was a tremendous help to me at the start. At first I was far too bitter to find any comfort there. But now I feel the need for belief in something far greater than I, something which is everlasting, while all around me seems to be changing. I'm at the point now where I would get lost in trying to defend or describe logically to anyone my belief in God, but I don't think anyone could argue me out of it. What I do believe in strongly is the beauty and immortality of love. Someone told me that it's far better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. I feel now that I don't want to escape the risks of sorrow to which love exposes one. Pain and sorrow have opened my eyes and made me far more sensitive towards other people. Love is certainly one thing in this world which refuses to accept the fact of death. Just because she has died, I don't feel that all my love for my mother or hers for me has been shut off. A year ago, as I said, I could not have made any definite statement about my beliefs. The death of someone very close to you is a shock from which it will take a long time to recover, and no amount of platitudes from well-meaning friends will help. What I believe now and what I will believe in 10 years may well differ. My present beliefs are really born of adversity. Further reflections may well change them, as is apt to be the case with all emotion recollected in tranquility. This is only my account of what I believe, which has helped me for the last 14 months.
That was Susan Savage, a very young teacher, but a mature citizen prepared for the future.
Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. You know, stories start many different ways, but this one began modestly enough with a 0 on a typewriter. That's right, cipher, naught, nothing. But to one man of Chicago's 4 million, that 0 meant death.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Rudy Stone.
Mine is a funny kind of a job. When that evening sun goes down, I start walking through the dark city, peering into bleak alleys, wandering through the bright neon, listening to the sounds of a city at night, the whisper of footsteps, the shattering roar of an L train, the sob of an ambulance siren. I wander up the boulevards, down the back streets, searching for something in the dark city. And what exactly is it that I seek? Brother, it's something more elusive than the farthest star. I seek the city's heart. Tonight I must have walked for miles. The cold wind off Lake Michigan ad-libbing with my ribs and the hot breath of my deadline biting into my neck. Then ahead of me I saw that friendly oasis in the darkness, Benny's all-night beanery, otherwise known as Tomaine Junction. Throwing caution to the winds, I started through the door for a cup of coffee.
Operator, answer me.
Nobody around but Benny polishing the counter,
Operator,
and this little blonde yapping excitedly into the wall phone near the door.
Please hurry.
Such devotion, somebody should get that excited over me.
Hello, Mrs. Warren. Yes, we were disconnected. Has he come home yet, Mrs. Warren?
How are you, Benny? How's the bicarbonate king?
Oh, hiya, Randy. You always say that, but you keep coming back.
Gluttons of punishment.
Well, you've got to find him. You've just got to.
Get her.
What's with her, Benny?
I don't know. 25 calls she makes like that. 25 times she gets the same answer. 25 times she comes over to get more nickels.
Business is good, huh?
Yeah, a hole in the head. What's in it for me making change all night?
Change. Please, Nichols.
Lady, sooner or later I gotta run out. This is it.
I gotta have some.
I don't make them here, lady. Now, will you please...
Change. Quarters. Dimes.
Let me take a look, see if I have any.
Oh, yes, please do. But hurry. Please hurry. I gotta reach him.
Randy, make with the catch. He's passing out.
Oh, easy, lady, easy.
Out cold.
Coffee, Benny, quick. There's one thing I'll say. If Gabriel's trumpet doesn't succeed in waking the dead, all they've got to do is send for some of Benny's coffee. After I got a couple of sips down the girl's throat, she started coming out of it. Tears rolling down her face, her whole body trembling with sobs. Oh, come on now. Now stop it, honey. Stop it.
What happened to me?
You passed out, but good.
What time is it?
Oh, it's 9:45.
I've got to find him. I've just got to.
Oh, now, take it easy. You're still shaky. Now, come on. Have a few more sips of this so-called coffee.
Oh, no.
Well, if you think Benny's coffee is bad, you ought to try his hamburgers.
I've just got to find him.
Who have you got to find?
The man.
What man?
The man I killed.
Ask a foolish question, you get a foolish answer. Only before I could ask any more questions, the little lady was on her way out of the place. I looked at Benny just to make sure he'd heard the same thing I had. He'd heard. His mouth was hanging open like somebody had taken off the hinges. I left the beanery and started after the girl. At first, I thought I'd lost her. Then I saw her sagging against the side of a building under the elevator tracks on Dearborn Street. She saw me coming. Oh, I'm just an old busybody.
I don't know what to do. I'm going crazy. I should call Mrs. Warren again. Maybe he came home.
Who?
That man.
The man you killed, huh? Well, that makes sense. Now, listen,
Oh,
lady.
you don't understand. You just don't understand.
This you can be sure of.
I've got to find him. I've just got to.
You've killed him, but you've got to find him. Yeah.
I must go. Please let me go.
I'm not holding you, kid.
I don't know where to turn.
You don't want to go anyplace, do you? You want help? All right, here it is.
I don't know you.
My name is Stone. Now that we're formally introduced.
The newspaper columnist?
Well, man's got to eat.
Oh, maybe you can help. Maybe you can, Mr. Stone.
Yeah, but first I got to know why you keep calling the home of the man you killed to see if he's gotten in yet. This is slightly confusing.
All right, I'll tell you. My name's Ruth Baker. I'm receptionist and secretary for Dr. Stanley Loring.
The specialist?
Yes.
Go ahead.
There was a man, Philip Warren. A week ago, he saw Dr. Loring for an examination. Today, this afternoon, he came back for the report. I was in the outer office when Mr. Warren left the consultation room. He looked strange. Strange and frightened.
Will you give me a cigarette, Miss Baker?
Oh, certainly, Mr. Warren. Here. There's a lighter on the table.
Never mind. I don't want a cigarette.
Is there anything wrong?
Hey, what time have you got?
3:15.
You're a minute slow.
All that?
But a minute is important. Very important.
If you're going to catch a train.
No, it's always important.
Well, yes, I suppose it is.
Oh, yes. You know, I've lived all my life that way. Paying attention to time. Being punctual. My wife considers it a nuisance. Do you?
Oh, I'm afraid I hadn't thought.
You should. Everyone should. Time. If you thought how many different ways one tells time. It can whisper in an hourglass. Or tinkle in the tiny little clock. Or it can roar. Or...
Yes?
All my life it's been important to me. Now he won't tell me when. All he says is sometime. That's not fair, Miss Baker. It's not right.
Oh, look, Mr. Warren, perhaps you'd better lie down.
Oh, no. I've got several things to do. Many things, in fact.
I see.
You don't. But that doesn't matter at all. You know, in my office I can hear the chimes of the clock in the tower above me. I've always listened to them. I like them because time is important. But I never heard them chime midnight.
Midnight?
I guess midnight is a special time. It's either tomorrow or today. It's in between. Tells a man that the day is over. Another one's going to begin. It's like standing on the edge. Goodbye, Miss Baker. Goodbye, Miss Baker.
Yes, Doctor?
Miss Baker, will you come in, please?
Right away.
Warren gone, Miss Baker?
Yes, he just left, Dr. Loring.
Yeah, that was certainly unexpected. I was almost certain it wasn't that serious. Well, put his examination report back, will you?
Yes, sir.
The closed file, Miss Baker.
The closed?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was it?
Any inoperable condition?
Oh, now I see.
See what, Miss Baker?
Why he acted so strangely.
Oh, don't worry. You'll go home, think about it. When the first shock wears off, you'll accept it. What else can he do? What else can anyone do?
After that, I went back to my desk, Mr. Stone. I was checking my files and...
Come on, Ruth, what?
I made a mistake. A horrible mistake.
What was it?
Well, when a patient comes in for examination, only Dr. Loring knows his name. The technical laboratory has only a number on a card. Mr. Warren's was 5129. I typed it wrong. I typed 5120.
The card number of another patient.
It was a mistake. I put Mr. Warren's name under the wrong laboratory number. The number of a man who is going to die.
Certainly Dr. Loring will be able to tell if Warren...
Well, just a routine checkup would indicate symptoms. It took actual laboratory work to make certain.
Oh, I see.
He'll kill himself. He's that kind of a man. And if he does, I've killed him, murdered him. And if... I don't want to live. I'll kill myself.
Oh, now, come on. Now, there's no time for that. Does Dr. Loring know?
I told him right away.
And he tried to reach Warren?
Oh, we've been trying since this afternoon.
At his home?
Everywhere. He must have gone home first because he left his wife a note.
Suicide note?
Yes.
Ruthie, come on, let's go.
Well, where?
Warren's home. And if he's not there, well, Chicago's a big city. It'll be tough finding one man among 4 million people. But we can try.
When I got home, Mr. Stone. I knew Philip went to see Dr. Loring, but I didn't know...
Just the note and nothing else, Mrs. Warren?
No, nothing.
You called the police right away?
Of course I did.
And you haven't left this apartment?
Not for a second.
Well, didn't he phone, try to get in touch with you at all?
No, Miss Baker, he did not. And if my husband isn't found before he killed himself, I'll see to it that
I didn't tell you it was a mistake. Anyone could make a mistake like that.
Mistake? To make a man believe he's going to die in horrible pain? No, that's no mistake. That's murder. The cruelest kind of murder.
Don't, please.
Get out of here and leave me alone.
Wait a minute, Mrs. Warren. Why crucify this kid because she made a mistake that could happen only once in a million years?
To my husband.
To anyone.
Oh, leave me alone.
You want to find him, don't you?
Well, now, what kind of a question is that?
A nice, reasonable question. You want to find him. All right, help us.
But what can we do? By midnight, he'll be dead. The note he left said so.
Someone's at the door.
It might be him.
I'll get it. Mr. Warren?
Warren? Well, no,
Paul.
Yes.
Paul, what did you find out?
Well, nothing. I checked every precinct station between here and the Oak Street beach.
Paul, this is Mr. Stone. And the girl who...
I see.
Paul is a friend of Philip's.
Yeah, there's nothing you said?
No one's seen him.
And no suicide report?
Not his.
It's 10 now. We've got 2 hours to find him.
You know, that bothers me. Why should he choose exactly 12 o'clock to die?
If you knew my husband, you'd understand why. The ticking of the clock was the most important thing in his life. You could set your watch by his schedule. Up at 7:30 in the morning. Never 7:28. Never 7:31, 7:30. Breakfast at 10 minutes to 8.
Irma, we haven't time to worry about Philip's idiosyncrasies right now. We've got to find him. As the young lady said, we've only got 2 hours.
I'm sorry.
Try to think the way he would. What does he do for those 2 hours? Where does he go? What does he want to see?
He's lived all his life doing things exactly the same way. That's all.
Well, that's something.
What are you getting at, Stone?
Well, I was just thinking. Nobody ever lets go of life without holding on to something else. Nobody knows whether you can take a memory with you or not. Maybe it's just a face, a melody, a favorite place. Nobody knows, but we like to think so.
Philip.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, that Philip would want to die exactly as he'd lived, knowing exactly when and where.
That's what I mean, Mrs. Warren.
What?
I want a list of every place your husband might go.
But...
Tell him, Irma.
Well, there are so many places.
100, 1,000. What's the difference? Write them down.
I'll go with you, Stone.
No, you stay here with Mrs. Warren. Somebody's got to be here if he shows up. And step on it with that list, Mrs. Warren. We've got a lot of places to cover by midnight. If we haven't found him, then we can cut our list down to one place. The county morgue.
Night Beat stars Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Find one man out of 4 million people. Find one place out of 1,000 square miles of city and do it in 2 hours, 120 minutes. A long chance? Compared to our job, $1 on the Irish sweepstakes was money in the bank. We had two things in our favor. One, Mrs. Warren had called the police. 1,000 cops had Warren's description. Two, Warren himself. The way he lived was a clue to the way he might die. On time, punctual. But where? The first place on this list was a little restaurant where he sometimes ate. They knew him there, all right.
Mr. Warren? Yes, I know him.
Has he been in here tonight?
Tonight?
Yes, tonight.
I see you don't know Mr. Warren very well. Mr. Warren comes here on Tuesday evenings only. This is Monday.
Cross off one place. Go to the next. Yes, they knew Mr. Warren. No, he hasn't been in tonight. This is Monday. He comes here only on Fridays. Grab a cab and hurry on. Watching the minutes go by. Watching Ruthie die a minute at a time. Telling her no matter how bad we were doing, the cops would find him for sure. The cigar store, where he stopped for cigarettes, missed him by an hour. The newsreel theater, sure, an old customer, but he comes on Wednesday for the new weekly show. Ruthie wanting to call Mrs. Warren again to see if the police had found him yet, but no time. 40 minutes gone, an hour lost, going down the list.
Hey, Ben,
Hey, kid.
Oh, paper, mister?
No, not right now. Listen to me. Every night a man stops by here. His name is Warren.
Oh, I know him. What about him?
Well, has he been here tonight?
Sure. Hey, what gives with that guy?
What do you mean?
Well, any other night he's by here 6 o'clock sharp. Tonight he comes past after 10. Buys a paper, a late edition. He's never done that before. In fact, I never seen him after 6.
Which way did he go? Did he say anything to you?
Nothing. All he does is buy the paper, walk away, and then he throws the paper away like he don't want it in the first place.
Which way did he go?
Straight up Michigan, that way. You got to admit it's unusual.
Yes, I admit it. Thank you. Come on, Tabby, move. So we went straight up Michigan Avenue that-a-way. All we accomplished was to lose another 5 minutes of our time. And, brother, when it came to time, we were really scraping bottom. Those ever-loving cops were becoming more important by the second. One by one, we kept scratching names off the list. The cafeteria, where we sometimes stopped for coffee, but not tonight. The drugstore, where we stopped for stamps, but not tonight. Then the last place on the list, the very last. A little cocktail lounge on Michigan Avenue. One of those she joints where the lights are so soft and low you can't watch the bartender watering the booze. Our 2 hours were just about all used up.
Help you, sir?
Oh, pal, if you can. Nobody else can.
I beg your pardon?
I'm looking for a man named Philip Warren. Do you know him?
Oh, yeah, quite well. I consider Mr. Warren one of my special customers.
Is he here tonight?
Well, what do you ask?
We don't have time for anything but yes or no answers. Please, yes or no.
I really don't feel I'm at liberty to discuss with complete strangers.
Oh, Randy, it's not going to work. We're not going to find him.
Something wrong with Mr. Warren?
Well, to put it mildly, yes. Now, come on.
Well, if you'll tell me why you
Now,
want...
listen,
you
please.
see, it's not really proper to tell just anyone who happens to inquire.
Pal, unless we find him in the next 15 minutes, Warren is going to die.
You're joking.
Look at this girl here. If Warren dies, she'll... Never mind. Look at her face and tell me I'm joking.
Oh. All right. I didn't know. Mr. Warren's a good customer, you know. Two strangers asking.
Was he in here and how long ago?
Well, he came in a little while ago. I thought it was strange, you know, because he's late. It's always comes in promptly at 5:35.
Never mind the details. How long ago?
About 10 minutes ago. He sat at the usual place, but then he didn't drink his sherry.
You know where he went?
No, I don't.
Did you see him go?
Oh, yeah, I saw him leave.
All right, now think. Has he ever said anything about going anywhere from here?
No. He was always very quiet. Oh, but I think his office is near here.
What makes you think that?
Well, he mentioned once he always leaves it at 5:30.
I see. Thank you. Where's the phone?
Near the entrance.
Come on, Ruth. Thank you.
What is it, Mr. Stone? What did you think of?
You got his home phone number?
Yeah, written down here.
Thank you.
Why are you calling there?
I want to know where his office is.
But why?
All his life, punctual, methodical. Everything to him was a habit. Maybe it's a crazy hunch, but I could be right. He could have gone to his office.
Yes, you could be right.
Come on. Answer.
They've got to be there. They said they'd stay.
They don't answer. Ruth, do you remember where his office is? Must be on your records.
Oh, I don't remember. Oh, but we can go and get it.
Oh, there's no time.
Try it again.
They're not there. I told them to stay there, the fools.
What?
The phone directory. Might have a business listing for him. Warren. Philip Warren.
Is it?
No, only his home phone, the number I just called.
Mr. Stone.
What?
If Mrs. Warren isn't home, she might have gone to the police. Maybe they found him.
That could be it. Keep your fingers crossed that they found him alive.
Stone, snooping around this precinct for stories?
I've got one, Mac.
So?
Listen, I'm in a hurry. You've got to tell me something.
Why, sure, Randy. What?
There's a general call-out for a man named Philip Warren. Have you got anything on it?
I'll take a look. Warren? Philip Warren?
That's right. Oh, Mac, come on.
No, nothing here on that name, Randy.
Nothing. Mac, you're crazy. The call went out this afternoon. Every precinct has got it.
Well, this is one of them, but there ain't a thing here. Take a look for yourself. Here's the sheet.
No, I'll take your word for it, Mac. Listen, put out a call right away. He's got to be picked up.
He killed somebody?
He'll kill himself. You hear that, Mac? He'll kill himself if he's not found before midnight.
Before midnight? But that's just 15 minutes.
Yes, I know.
What did they say?
They didn't have a call for him.
That's crazy. They must have. Mrs. Warren called the police.
Yeah. Well, just a minute, Cabby. Look, Ruth. Let's figure it. At last cocktail lounge, the bartender said Warren came in every evening at 5:35, that he left his office at 5:30. That makes his office a 5-minute walk from the cocktail lounge.
And what he said to me, remember?
What?
He said he liked to sit in his office and listen to the chimes from the tower above his office.
Tower. 5 minutes from that cocktail lounge on Michigan Avenue.
Look up the avenue.
The Wrigley building. The clock in the Campanile Tower. Ruth, that's got to be it. We've got 10 minutes to get there and find the office. Cabby, Wrigley building, fast. The red in the traffic lights didn't mean a thing, but it still took us 3 minutes to get to the Wrigley building. When we got there, the hands of the clock in the Campanile Tower pointed to 7 of 12. And as we looked up, the larger hand crossed out another minute of Warren's life. One more went by before the night watchman heard me pounding at the doors. And then he opened them.
Hey, what's all the fuss?
Look, my name is Stone. Chicago Star.
Yeah, will that give me the right to pound on doors?
So please, just listen. Does a man named Philip Warren have an office in this building?
No, he ain't got no office.
Are you sure?
Oh, of course I'm sure. Man named Warren works here.
Philip Warren?
Sure, works for Western Research.
Did he come in tonight?
Why?
Stop asking questions, please. We've got to find him or he'll be dead.
But he was all right when he walked in.
All right, take us up to him.
Hey, you've got to sign the in and out sheet just like everybody else.
All right. We'll sign it. Just take us up.
Yeah, okay. Now, to use the freight elevator, the regular ones don't run at night, not this shop.
I don't care which one we use. Just get us up to Warren. I stopped looking at my watch while that freight elevator droned its deadly way up to the floor where Warren had his office. And then at last, we were there.
Western Research Office is right down that way.
You'll call the police.
Huh?
Call the police. Tell them you're calling for me to get here as soon as they can.
Oh, sure, okay.
Thank you. Come on, Ruth.
There it is.
There's no light inside. It's open.
There's no one here.
Find the light switch.
I can't.
All right, never mind. I'll light a match. What's the matter?
I thought I saw someone at the desk when you lighted that match.
All right. Follow me.
Look.
Mrs. Warren.
What are you doing here?
Well, I thought of the same thing you did, and I...
Herman, you still there?
Yes, Paul. Mr. Stone is here, too.
Stone?
Yes. Turn on the light, Paul.
Why wasn't the light on in the first place?
Well, we thought if Philip came here and saw a light, he wouldn't come in.
That's right, Stone. We called the police. They had nothing yet, so we came here. We thought that...
You called the police?
We just couldn't stay home and do nothing.
The police didn't tell you anything, huh?
No, everyone's looking for Philip.
I'll ask you nice, Paul. Where is he?
I don't understand.
Let's stop playing patty cake. Where is he?
I tell you, we don't know.
Oh, you do. Well, you're one of his best friends. Where is he? Come on, give.
Well, we don't know where he is. We came here for the same reason
You never called the police about your husband like you said. You didn't want them to find him.
You're insane, both of you.
Come on, Paul boy. Tell me where he is.
I tell you, I don't know.
Now, let's try it again. Come on.
Stone, you're a...
Never mind me. Let's stick to the subject of the moment. Where is he?
I told you.
Where is he? All very neat and clean, wasn't it? Let the old boy kill himself. Just don't do a thing about it.
Stop it, Stone, stop it.
You tell me when, Paul. How much insurance was he going to leave to your lady friend? You sure it isn't one of those non-cancelable policies, Paul? You know some of them don't pay off on suicide. Tell me where he is. Tell me.
Stop it. Stop it. He's on the tower.
He's on the top of the building. I saw him. He's going to jump.
Here's your boyfriend, Mrs. Warren. Catch. The tower, Ruth. Come on.
The elevator.
No time. Tower's only 2 flights up. Come on, I'll need you. It was 1 minute of 12 when we took the first step of the 2 flights. The run-up was like one of those dreams in which you stand aside and watch yourself. There was a queer, impersonal detachment about it that made the horror even more real. And then we were out on the roof.
Do you see him?
No, not yet.
What's that?
Where?
Look, on the tower.
Warren, wait, Warren. Yes, I'll wait. Guess it's not quite time. I've got to finish up staying.
You've got to listen to me. You're not going to die. Do you hear me?
He said I was, but he wouldn't say when. He wouldn't tell me when. But I know, I can tell you. It's not quite 12, but when it is.
Warren, look here. Ruth, make him listen to you.
Mr. Warren! Look at me! You know who I am?
Yes, I know. I know everybody in the world. And I can see everybody from here.
Please! The report was a mistake. You're not going to die, do you hear? It was a mistake. Please, listen to me.
You're lying. You're all lying. Everybody lied to me all my life. You want me to suffer. I can't. I tell you I can't. And I know when I'm going to die.
But you're not. It was a mistake. My mistake, not the doctor's. I swear. We're not lying to you. I swear it.
Randy, why? Oh, mother in heaven.
Get your boys ready, Max.
They're all set. But him? What about him?
Keep talking, Ruth. He's watching you. Keep talking.
Mr. Warren, you're all right. Do you hear? You're not going to die.
He said I was. He told me.
It was a mistake.
Please don't lie to me, please.
It's the truth, Mr. Warren. You're not going to die. Do you believe it?
Thank heaven. Thank heaven.
You can get him now, Mac. He'll hold on until your boys reach him. So here I sit, trying to write my story for tonight. But I keep hitting that one key. 0. 0, cipher, naught, nothing. Oh, dear. Someday, a nice, peaceful story is going to be written about a flock of happy little birds leisurely circling a burned-out world, wondering whatever happened to all those crazy two-legged characters who spent their lives knocking each other's brains out. What a nice thing to read that'd be. Yeah, but wait a second. Who'd write it? All right, you broken-down two-bit philosopher. The makeup editor's got to go home, too. So let's get going. Hello? Give me a rewrite.
This, I believe. T. Coleman Andrews, a Virginian, started work as an office boy at the age of 15. 6 years later, he founded the T. Coleman Andrews and Company of Certified Public Accountants. He is an active member of his profession, but he finds time to be of service to his community of Richmond as well. Hear now the creed of T. Coleman Andrews.
I believe as a matter of fundamental conviction that my life is not my own, that life is of divine origin and was given to me as a sacred trust to be lived with honor to Him by whom it was given, with the fullest possible usefulness to my fellow men, my community, my state, and my country, and with credit to myself, my family, and my profession. This belief implies acceptance of indivisible personal responsibility for my conduct. It also imposes the obligation to make the most of myself. Further, it opens the door to usefulness to others, which is of paramount importance. For no man can do full justice to himself, except to the extent that he helps others to do the same. I am an accountant. I do not think that I would have gotten very far in my profession if I had not decided early in my career that regardless of how good an accountant I might become, my success necessarily would be largely in proportion to the growth of the accounting profession. So I made up my mind at the start that it was up to me to help my profession grow, and I have striven earnestly to remain true to that determination. This philosophy of personal responsibility and usefulness imposes rigid disciplines, not the least of which is that of having frequently to choose between the prestige of respect and the glamour of popularity. A whole new profession, so-called, has sprung up to tell me that I am doomed to failure and frustration if I do not seek and achieve influence through popularity. God forbid! What a world this would be if everybody in it were mere backslapping yes-men. God entrusted man alone with mental power sufficient to penetrate and solve the mysteries of life. With this power, man has multiplied the span of his life, mastered the sea and the air and the elements, discovered the secret of the atom, annihilated distance, and now stands upon the threshold of interplanetary communication. This gift carries with it not only the right but also the duty to challenge the thoughts and ideas of others and to seek truth, safe in the assurance that straight thinking and forthrightness will have the reward of respect, though expediency often may suggest fruitless silence or compromise. If I let false doctrine go unchallenged and seek only popularity, hoping thereby to enhance or protect my selfish interest, I not only delude myself, but also condemn myself in the sight of God and my fellow men. What I seek to protect is certain to be lost in time, and I will stand, if not condemned as a drone, then certainly forgotten in mankind's inexorable progress towards his ultimate achievement of complete fullness of life. And so this, too, I believe, that we must turn again to the giver of life, and reassume our obligation of personal responsibility and usefulness, lest we suffer the catastrophic consequences of lost faith that William Penn foresaw when he warned that people who are not governed by God will be ruled by tyrants.
Those were the beliefs of T. Coleman Andrews, who lives with his wife and 2 sons in Richmond, Virginia. Listening to him, one senses he has come to grips with the meaning of personal responsibility and usefulness to others as well as to himself.
The makers of Camel cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. How mild can a cigarette be?
One puff won't tell you.
One sniff won't tell you.
It takes day in, day out smoking to find out how mild a cigarette is, how well it agrees with your throat. Make the sensible cigarette test, the thorough test. Smoke only Camels for 30 days and see just how mild a cigarette can be.
Here, transcribed, is Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was cold out, and it had been raining. When it got a little warmer, it would probably snow. The whole city was covered with a heavy sheet of ice, and the steam heat in my office gurgled and clouded up the windows. I was feeling pretty good. I was warm.
I'd had one client in the past week, and my bank account was on its way to recovery, and a good breakfast in the drugstore downstairs had made me comfortable and drowsy. I put my feet up on the desk, leaned back in my chair, and closed my eyes.
Mr. Diamond? Mr. Diamond?
I must have been napping and didn't know it. I hadn't heard the door open, but there he stood, framed in the door, resting his weight on the jamb, and looking across the room at me with tired eyes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes, what can I do for you?
My name is Abel Gunther. I want to hire you.
All right, Mr. Gunther. I charge $100 a day in expenses.
I don't think I can pay it. I can pay you some, but I don't think I can pay you that much.
Well, that's my fee for you or a Rockefeller. I got expenses.
I see. Well, I'll keep looking. I need help. Perhaps you could recommend someone?
You'll pardon me for saying so, but you don't look too well, Mr. Gunther.
I'm pretty sick, Mr. Diamond.
Maybe you'd better sit down and tell me what your problem is.
I can't afford the money.
That's all right. Tell me about it anyway.
I think I had better sit down.
Yes, you better. What's wrong? You got the flu or something?
No. I'm afraid it's a little more serious. Would you really like to hear my story?
I think I really would.
I'm a farmer, Mr. Diamond. My home is Haiti, near Saint-Nazaire.
Haiti?
Yes, the West Indies. I was born there, raised there. My parents died when I was 13. I have a wife. She's there now, and she's the main reason I have come here seeking help. My wife is dying, Mr. Diamond. I must get help quickly before it is too late. I have a farm.
Kept talking, telling me about his life on Haiti. He told me about his farm, a fairly good-sized farm by his description. He told me how in the past 2 years things began to go wrong on his farm, and soon all the farms in the area were also having trouble.
The cane fields would burn every year. Then it was the cattle. One by one, they became sick. Then my wife, and now me.
And you don't know what's wrong with either of you, huh?
Yes and no. My Christian religion fights it, but my life on Haiti has taught me deep respect for it.
Respect for what?
Voodoo, Mr. Diamond. Oh, I know just what you're thinking. But a doctor in Haiti has examined my wife and can find nothing wrong.
Well, I don't particularly believe in anything like that, Mr. Gunther. But if you do, why have you come to me?
I said I have a healthy respect for it. I don't entirely believe it, but some of the things I've seen make it difficult to disbelieve. I came to you because I suspect a possibility of something more. Immediately after my wife was taken ill, I received an offer for my farm, a very low offer from a Saint-Nazaire banker. I investigated, found it had been made in the interests of one Arthur Cotswold.
Arthur Cotswold?
Haiti's biggest planter.
Oh. Well, how about the other farmers?
They received offers like mine. Being the oldest farmer, the rest looked to me for guidance. I told them to wait. Then I came here to hire someone to look into the matter.
Would you like some water?
No, thank you. I'm all right.
Anyone else become ill besides you and your wife?
Yes, several others. I have $368 in my ticket home. The money is yours if you will go to Haiti and investigate.
Have you been to a doctor here in New York?
No. Mr. Diamond here's directions how to get to my farm. My servant, little Chiva, is there. No one knows I came.
Mr. Gunther. Mr. Gunther.
Levinson Homicide.
Hello, Walt.
Oh, Rick.
Yeah. Better get up to my office. I've got a dead man for you.
Are you kidding?
That's what Gunther told me.
Voodoo?
Voodoo smoodoo. That's what the man said.
Now, steady, boy.
Oh, stop it, Walt. You know I don't believe it.
But you're going down to Haiti.
Well, somebody's got to tell the wife.
The local authorities can do that. Hey.
No, what's the matter?
The local authorities in Haiti. Why didn't Gunther go to them if he thought there was something phony about the setup?
You want an opinion?
If you can strain one out.
Well, Gunther probably didn't go to the Haiti authorities because he knew they'd think just what you're thinking.
Okay, so I'm crazy.
Well, Gunther died in my office. He came a long way for help, and the poor guy wanted to give me his last $368. So I'm going to Haiti. I'll send you a zombie. Falk promised to send a wire and care of the authorities in Saint Leger as soon as he got an autopsy report on Mr. Gunther, and I headed to the airline's ticket office. By 8 o'clock that evening, I was in an airline's flagship at 12,000 feet heading for the West Indies and Haiti. The trip wasn't bad. We landed in Miami, where I grabbed a cup of coffee and then climbed aboard a clipper for Port-au-Prince. At Port-au-Prince, I took a bus to Saint Leger, and from there a beaten-up taxi to the Gunther farm, about 10 miles into the country. As we neared the farm, I could see a crowd of people standing around in front of the house. And as I climbed out of the cab and approached them, they turned, and their hushed conversations were suddenly stilled. I didn't know what it was. No one said a word. But something was wrong. I could feel it. I walked through the crowd to the house and stopped cold as the door opened.
Who are you?
I'd never seen anything like him. He was a native, and he ducked his head as he stepped out of the door to face me. He was a good 7 feet tall, or maybe more. He must have weighed close to 300. He stood on his bare feet, his long, muscled arms hanging loosely at his sides, and looked at me with dark, shining eyes.
Me, little Chiva. Who are you?
Oh, me, very little Richard Diamond. Mr. Gunther hired me to come here.
You from New York?
Oh, yes. Mr. Gunther couldn't come back.
He died?
That's right. How did you know?
Did you come in?
Sure. What are all those people doing out there?
Their friend's madam. She died, too.
Little Chiva led the way into the bedroom where Mrs. Gunther lay on the bed, covered with a fresh white sheet, her eyes closed and deaf, her face drawn and tired. Little Chiva told me she had died the day before, about 3 in the afternoon, and a cold chill ran up my back. I remembered her husband lying on the floor of my office about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the day before.
What do you do here?
Mr. Gunther wanted me to find out why the cattle are getting sick, why the fields are burning, why he and his wife became ill.
Bad voodoo.
Well, he thought it might have something to do with a man named Cotswold.
He big man.
What are those drums?
For Madam and Mister. They voodoo. Good voodoo. Give blessing for spirit. For Madam and Mister.
Oh. You see, little Chiva, Mr. Gunther wanted me to help him. He paid me money to help him and died asking for help. I'm going to try and do what I can.
The Madam and Mr. Good people. Teach little Chiva. They take little Chiva when he's small boy and make good life. You good man. Little Chiva help you.
Right then, I inherited little Chiva. And if there was going to be any trouble, the giant servant would certainly help to make up the difference. The first thing I wanted to do was contact the local authorities in Saint Leger. And little Chiva told me my man was one Inspector Laplanche.
A very fine person, Mr. Gunther. I'm sorry he's dead.
Well, how'd everybody know he was dead?
On Haiti, things of such nature are never a secret. The natives know.
Voodoo?
Being a stranger to Haiti, Mr. Diamond, I expect you to be a skeptic.
But you believe in voodoo?
Let us say I've been in Haiti too long not to believe.
Gunther thought the whole thing might have something to do with a man named Cotswold.
I would suggest you forget Mr. Cotswold.
Then I suggest you give me a good reason to forget him.
Mr. Cotswold is a very big man on Haiti, the largest plantation owner on the West Indies, and a self-made man with a considerable temper.
Well, thanks for the advice, Inspector. But supposing I come up with something incriminating.
If Mr. Cotswold has breached the law, it would certainly be my duty to arrest him. But I am not considering the arrest. More, the necessary steps that would have to be taken to prove the guilt. Dangerous steps, Mr. Diamond. One might trip on those steps.
And break his neck.
Yes.
You like the middle of the road, huh?
It is much easier to see what is ahead.
It's possible to get run down from behind.
I'll do as much as I can to prevent that possibility. Example, my suggestion, you forget Mr. Cotswold.
I left the philosophical inspector and went outside where little Chiva had been waiting. Every time I looked at Chiva, it was like a little kid spotting the Empire State for the first time. He smiled a mouthful of white teeth as he said,
"The inspector, he say forget Mr. Cotswold."
"That's right. What do you think, little Chiva?"
"I think I do what you want."
"You know what I want?"
"You want to go see Cotswold."
Think I'm crazy?"
"You're not afraid. You're not strong like little Chiva. But little Chiva think of all the men he know, you would fight hardest."
"I don't like to fight, little Chiva."
"Little Chiva know that. We go see Cotswold."
Little Chiva led the way up a long, narrow road surrounded on both sides by high sugarcane fields. Somewhere from not too far away, I heard the drums start again. Little Chiva stopped, looked off to the north. He began moving his shoulders, slowly, keeping time to the steady rhythm of the drums. He began to sing softly.
"Oh, hey, say Papa New keep a posse. Oh, hey, say Papa New keep a posse."
What does that mean, little Chiva?
"It means in your language, it is our Papa who passes."
"Papa?"
"Papa Damballa, the great source."
"Voodoo?"
"Yes. Later I must leave you. Today is Wednesday. This is the day of Papa Damballa." "Oh, hey, say Papa Nucci, Papa." He continued his little chant until we reached the beginning of a long, high fence running along next to the narrow road. Chiva leaned down and swung a gate open. Then we walked up the path that led through the Cotswold property until we reached the house. There, sitting back between two huge trees, was the Cotswold mansion. I walked up to the front door alone. "Mr. Diamond."
"Yes, Chiva?"
"Watch out for Mr. Jocelyn. He guard Cotswold."
"Thanks, I'll do that."
"What do you want?"
"I want to see Cotswold."
"You do, eh? What are you doing here, little Chiva?"
"I wait for Mister."
"Found himself a new governor, what? You must be that fellow Diamond."
"I must be."
"Well, come in. Mr. Cotswold's been expecting you."
He introduced himself as Jocelyn and led the way into a large paneled study. And I met the big man himself, Arthur Cotswold. The drums stopped.
"Today is Wednesday. It belongs to the great god Damballa."
"So I understand."
"Most days of the week are significant in voodoo. Will you have a drink, Mr. Diamond?"
"No, thank you."
"Jocelyn, mix me his gin and tonic."
"Yes, Mr. Cotswold."
"Thursday and Saturday belong to Uzele Frida, the goddess of love."
"I'll have to remember that."
"I know why you are here, Mr. Diamond."
"I'm glad you do."
"For some reason, Gunther and the rest of the miserable farmers think I'm responsible for their trouble."
"Of course you're not."
"I simply tried to help them. With their cattle sick and their crops gone, I had my banker make them an offer."
"Have any of your cattle taken sick?"
"None."
"Pretty strange."
"Haiti is a strange land."
"Now, you're not going to start talking voodoo."
"You're a stranger, Mr. Diamond. There are many things that you would not understand, and I would certainly not try and convert you."
"Well, I appreciate your interest, but I intend to find out why Gunther and his wife died."
At this point, I would most certainly give you advice on. Go home, Mr. Diamond. Leave well enough alone.
"After I come up with an answer."
"Mr. Diamond, I am not a patient man. I have gone out of my way to give you some healthy advice. Heed it. For your sake, heed it."
"No, thanks. I'll let you know what I find out."
"You persist in this investigation?"
"I always persist. In fact, I'm the persistenist."
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, here are a few words about smoking enjoyment.
The things we look for most in a cigarette are mildness and flavor. You'll find both of these things in Camels.
day after day and pack after pack. No other cigarette has Camel's rich, full flavor, the flavor of costly tobaccos properly aged and expertly blended. And no other cigarette gives you this proof of mildness. In a coast-to-coast test of hundreds of people who smoked only Camels for 30 days, noted throat specialists reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. Make your own 30-day Camel test. Not just a puff, not just a sniff, but normal smoking for about a month. You'll enjoy every puff, and you'll know without question how mild Camels are, how well they agree with your throat. Yes, and you'll see why. More people smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
How mild, how mild, how mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test, and you'll see. Smoke Camels and see.
And now, back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
I left Arthur Cotswold cooling his fifth with a gin and tonic, went back to Chiva, and he led me back to town. On the way, I got an idea. When we arrived in town, I sent little Chiva back to the Gunther farm. Then I went in to talk to Inspector LaPlanche. The inspector had received a wire from one Lieutenant Walt Levinson, 5th Precinct, New York Police.
Well, I had no idea the New York police were interested in this affair.
They're always interested when someone drops dead. Now, here's something pretty interesting, Inspector. Mr. Gunther died of a disease known as brucellosis, commonly known in cattle as Bang's disease. Ever heard of it?
I'm not a medical man, Mr. Diamond.
Well, it's undulant fever. Both Gunther and his wife probably caught it from their sick cattle.
What do you intend to do?
Well, I think those cattle were infected deliberately, and the cane fields burned purposely. If the cattle were infected deliberately, there must be some of the brucellosis still around, and I'm going to find it. Maybe at Mr. Cotswold's. I think you better issue a search warrant and come with me.
Mr. Diamond, the middle of the road, remember?
I think you'd better forget the middle of the road, Inspector. Unless you want me to get in touch with the authorities and have you held as a material witness in a murder case.
I will issue the warrant.
I kind of thought you would.
I will issue it, but you certainly do not think it will be enough to get you into the Cotswold house?
No, but it'll make it legal. I sent little Chiva back to collect some of his friends. They're going to help us get in that house, Inspector.
I will have no part of violence.
Oh, they won't even be with us. It would be easy to search the Cotswold place if Cotswold was out fighting a fire.
Fire?
Just a harmless fire, Inspector. But far enough away so that Cotswold will think it's his cane field.
Oh, well, then I will certainly issue the warrant, Mr. Diamond. As long as we are going to do everything open and above board, I will certainly issue it.
Welcome back to the gutter, Inspector. The view isn't much, but you can't miss where you're going. Let's go get little Chiva.
Those natives doing at the Gunthers?
I don't know.
Looks like something's wrong.
We piled out of the car and pushed our way through the crowd of natives. Inside the house, we found what was wrong. Lying in the middle of the room was little Chiva. He was almost dead when I knelt beside him.
I talked to friends. They light fire for you.
Thanks, Chiva.
Now, Dumbalo where to take me.
He's been stabbed.
And he cut him in two. They got him from behind. Never would have faced him.
You stay. You see, wait till non tete yamort.
See what? It is a ritual. It means taking the spirit from the head of the dead. He wants you to see it.
You stay. You believe voodoo.
All right, Chiva. I'll stay. Now, who did this to you?
Nazi. In back.
He's dead. The next few hours I'll never forget. The inspector knew what was coming, and he wanted no part of it, so he waited outside. I don't know whether I can describe it, but I'll try. And even though I saw it with my own eyes,
I still don't quite believe it. The natives came into the house and picked up little Chiva. They placed him on a bench and the ceremony began. Some of them had already obtained the necessary items used for Waithi Loan on Tefi Yum Mort. They included several live pigeons, olive oil, 30 pieces of fat pine wood, a pair of chickens, some coarse cornmeal, and a saddle blanket, and a large white plate. Little Chiva's body was covered with a blanket, and then the pigeons were killed and cooked without seasoning. The cornmeal was roasted, then placed in the white plate. The 30 slivers of pine wood were lighted and carried by the natives like candles. Then one of the natives took the white plate with the meal in one hand and the pot with the chicken in the other and approached the fire, chanting a strange dirge. I nearly ran out of the screaming Nemes. As he finished the last line of the chant, the dead body of little Chiva sat straight up with straining eyes, bowed its head, and fell back.
You look a little pale, Mr. Diamond.
Well, I can't understand why. Probably because my blood's hiding in my feet.
What do you think I will do now?
Well, let's forget it, shall we? I haven't got the money for a good rest home.
Yeah. We are close to the Cotswold house.
Good. Let's park it here and wait until the fire starts. The inspector and I sat in the car and waited while the moon climbed up over the clouds and the drums in the distance tangled my nerves into complete knots. After about an hour of waiting, a dull glow to the south started the expected commotion in the Cotswold household, and we climbed out of the car.
Fire, Mr. Cotswold! The green field! Fire! Get the servants! Get every man out there to fight that fire!
It had worked. The inspector and I stayed to the shadows until the last man went running out of the house. Then we went in. We worked as fast as we could. We took the place apart. And I must say, the timid inspector had really gotten out of the middle of the road. He tore the place apart like he'd spent most of his time on a wrecking crew.
I have not found a thing.
Oh, the house is clean.
There's a barn.
Then let's go. We went out of the house and headed for the barn about 50 yards away. The drums were louder now, and the dull glow of the fire had nearly vanished. It was obvious that the inspector and I had to work fast. He took one end of the barn, and I took the other. We worked toward each other. Just about the time I was ready to give the whole thing up.
Diamond! Diamond!
Inspector, you find something?
This hypodermic for cattle.
That's not enough.
This bottle hidden under this box?
Well, it's more like it. Let's get it back to town and have it analyzed.
That won't be necessary, Mr. Diamond.
Cotswold.
It was Cotswold, and he had 3 things on his side that made the situation very uncomfortable. His bodyguard, Jocelyn, and 2 guns. They stepped through the open door and moved up to us.
I see you found my secret, Mr. Diamond.
This is the stuff you've been infecting the cattle with. And this is what killed the Gunthers.
That's correct. You see, you should have really taken my advice and returned to the States.
You'll be held for murder, Cotswold.
Who will convict me, Mr. Diamond? No evidence, no one to testify. I'm surprised at you, Inspector. I thought you had more sense.
Sometimes a man finds his pride and does the best thing.
You know, of course, I can't allow either of you to live.
No, we had a hunch. Now tell me something. Who killed little Chiva?
He was getting to be a nuisance. I had Jocelyn here attend to the matter.
What's that? Diamond.
Mr. Cotswold, look!
Well, now, I want to tell you, I'd seen a lot that day, but that was just a little too much. The howl had come from the open door, and standing in it, framed against the yellow moon...
It's him! It's little Chiva!
No!
No!
But there he was, and he looked even bigger as he shuffled toward the 2 men, his arms swinging at his sides like 2 giant sledgehammers. He was going all the way. He hadn't just come back from the dead to sit up. He was taking a walk.
Get away! Get away! You're dead! Shoot him! Shoot him!
But Jocelyn was too terrified to even raise his arm. The big native reached out, grabbed him with both hands, and crushed him like an egg. For a minute, I was too stunned to move. Then when I saw Cotswold bring up his gun, I threw the bottle. It stopped him long enough for the big native to drop Justin's limp body and charge in. Like an idiot, I had some stupid reason for wanting Cotswold alive, so I tried to head Chiva off. Ever tried to stop a freight train with both hands out? He brushed me off, and I crashed into the wall just as he grabbed Cotswold.
No!
He picked him up, raised him high over his head, and threw him the length of the barn.
Diamond, he's coming over here.
Now, look, old boy. It's me, Diamond. Little Chiva, please,
Me not little Chiva.
What?
I should have guessed.
Should have guessed what? What is this?
This is Big Chiva.
Big Chiva?
We, me little Chiva's brother. Me pay back for kill little Chiva.
Oh, good gosh.
I never thought that.
We, me big Chiva. Come, I take you back to Gunther house. Little Chiva say you good man. I be your servant.
Well, if you don't mind, I just think I'll head back for the States and lie in a warm tub of mud for the next 6 months. Tell me something, Big Chiva.
What do you want?
You don't have a big brother, do you?
Dick Powell will return in just a minute. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette, according to a repeated nationwide survey. Doctors in every branch of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country, have again been asked what cigarette they smoked. Again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Friends, try Camels and discover for yourself the reasons behind Camel's great popularity. You'll enjoy Camel's rich flavor and cool mildness pack after pack and week after week.
How mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test and you'll see. Smoke Camels and see.
Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Friends, nothing can boost your morale like a gift, especially if you're in a hospital bed. That's why the Camel people send gift cigarettes each week to hospitalized servicemen and veterans in this country and overseas. This week, Camels are on their way to Veterans Hospitals, Rutland Heights, Massachusetts, and Lyons, New Jersey, U.S. Naval Hospital, Quantico, Virginia, and to all hospitals operated by the Far East Command of the U.S. Air Force. Now, until next week, enjoy Camels. I always do.
Then, has your pipe got your tongue? Well, switch to Prince Albert, the National Joy Smoke. PA's choice tobacco is specially treated to ensure against tongue bite. Yes, and it's crimp cut, too, for smooth, burning, and cool smoking. Get Prince Albert, rich, flavorful, and with a delightful natural fragrance. It's America's largest-selling smoking tobacco.
Listen next week for another exciting transcribed adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood.
This I believe. Thelma Mills is the executive director of the YWCA of New York City. She has taught in schools from the state of Washington to Tenzin, China. For 8 years, she was the dean of women at Whitman College, and for 12 years was director of student affairs for women at the University of Missouri. Here now is Thelma Mills.
As an undergraduate at Willamette University, an astronomy professor was a real favorite at daily chapel exercises with his pithy one-minute talks. These talks helped me to determine more clearly my own personal philosophy. One proved to be a great influence in directing the course of my life. Previously, I had been chiefly guided by my mother's conscience and what was expected of me because of the family reputation in the church and the small college town in which we were reared. But when I went away to college, I realized that I must begin making decisions for myself. Questions began to arise from discussions in my social science courses. Did I want to spend my life working for others, identifying myself with their needs? Or did I want to work with others so that they, in turn, need not rebel against direction, but could continuously develop themselves to their greatest capacities? Did I believe that I was my brother's keeper, or was it more essential that I assist my brother to become a better keeper of himself, to obtain a right understanding of matters so that he could be self-directed and motivated? At this point of questioning, I heard my professor give one of his chapel talks, more important and determining than any other. His message was, "For every act there is a consequence." This phrase coincided with one I had recently found in my readings in English history, Cromwell's exhortation encouraging his men to valor. "He who ceaseth to be better, ceaseth to be good." These two ideas gave me a new impetus toward determining my own way of life. 2 years after graduation, while teaching in a middle school for boys in North China, I was pushed for a statement of my belief in the Christian way of life. After speaking through a youthful interpreter to a Vesper service attended by boys of our school, some of whom were Mohammedans, Buddhists, and Taoists, an inquiry came: "Why are you a Christian?" I found myself struggling for a simple statement of belief that would be credible to them. I am a Christian because I believe in the personality of Jesus Christ. He personifies the moral law, and he reveals the love of God for all men. I can believe in him because he was a historical fact, and human nature is revealed through him. Because of Jesus Christ, in whom I believe also in God's eternal purpose for the universe. It has been my responsibility continuously to seek to know more of his purpose and to live by it. I do believe that God's purpose can only be realized through individuals. Hence, my deepest conviction is that I must live in my relationship with others so that we may have the fullest opportunity to serve him. I do believe in the right of the individual to make an honest decision for himself when he has had the facts, and to act accordingly, whatever the consequences. Thus, I recognize that for everything I have been given as personal endowment and ability, I have a responsibility to use so that not only those with whom I come in contact, but their growing sphere of influence may profit rather than suffer or default because of my way of life.
Those were the beliefs of Thelma Mills, President of the American College Personnel Association.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
One of the real headaches of my job is the crime committed amid the activity of some unusual event. Here, the lawbreaker uses the stir and bustle of a crowd to cover his act, and often leaves only a confused trail to follow. This was the situation we faced in the case you are about to hear.
This ain't very close.
What do you want me to do? Drive in the front door? We can get out of this spot in a hurry.
You sure that motorcycle gang is going to get here?
Any second. Sally gave me the pitch on it, and that kid's on the ball. Here, get this jacket on.
Yeah.
Here they come now. Let's go. They couldn't have timed it better. That girl is great.
Only one guy, Cleet, and here he comes.
Stand right there, mister. This is a holdup.
He's ducking out.
That's what he thinks.
You killed him, Cleet.
So what? Let's get at the jewelry. Come on.
Brother, look at all them diamond rings.
Never mind looking at them. Scoop them up and let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Who have you got here, Harrington?
Chief, this is Boston. Sells newspapers on the corner. Boston, this is Mr. Garrett, the district attorney.
And you're trying to find out about them hold-up men, ain't you? Well, I can tell you, 'cause I saw 'em come in here, 2 of 'em. They parked one of them little sport cars right near my stand. I saw 'em leave, too. But I didn't know they'd robbed the place and shot poor Mr. Sloat. If I had, I'd have stopped 'em.
What made you notice these men, Boston?
Oh, I notice everything. I spotted this little car right away. Quicker than a sparrow in a puddle.
The man who runs the health food store up the street says the men were dressed like motorcycle riders.
That's right, they was. Leather jackets and them hats. But they was driving that little car. Believe me, mister, I seen 'em and I knew.
I believe you, Boston. Didn't happen to notice the license of the car, did you?
Oh, no, sir, I slipped up on that one. But that was because all them motorcycles come busting into town, a-roaring and a-blasting. They was enough to make a man forget his own name.
Well, it's pretty obvious, Harrington. They used the arrival of the motorcycle club as a cover.
Yeah, they must have known right when the club was going to get here, then.
Yes, and as soon as we get back to the city, you'd better check on that, Harrington. Find out where the club meets, who the head of it is.
I guess they moved Mr. Sloat's body, didn't they?
Yes, about a half hour ago.
You fellas leaving now?
Yes, we're leaving. Oh, and I want to thank you for your help. It might be very important to us.
Well, good. Hey, how about you fellas buying a paper from me? You can read all about the shooting.
Why not? Might be a good investment.
Here. It's this way.
Where you going, babe?
I'm going in the house. What do you think?
Get in the car. I want to show you something.
What?
Kid, you really did a job for us. Those motorcycles come over the hill and into that town just like you said and when you said.
Well, I guess I ought to know. I belong to the club, don't I?
Were you riding?
Well, sure, with a boyfriend. I looked for you guys, but I couldn't see anywhere.
We were busy, babe. Real busy. Yeah. Take a look at that.
Oh. Great. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Let me put it around your neck, huh?
Oh, you mean you're giving it to me?
Sure, I'm giving it to you. You're going to get a lot more.
Oh, Clayton. Oh, let me look in the mirror.
Yeah, that looks swell, don't it, babe? And you are built for that kind of stuff.
Oh, I never had anything like this in my life.
Well, you have now.
Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
It's Dan.
The boyfriend? What do you care?
Sally.
Hello, Dan.
What are you doing here?
We're talking to a friend of mine. Dan, I want you to meet Cleet. Cleet, this is Dan Clark.
How are you, Clark?
Hi.
Dan is president of the Cycle Club, Cleet.
Yeah, I know. You work with your motor, Clark?
He delivers for a multigraph company.
What does he care? Well, what are you doing sitting out here with this guy anyway?
What's wrong with me sitting out here with him? He's a friend of mine.
So he's a friend of yours. Does that mean you have to sit cooped up with him in this hopped-up baby buggy?
Now listen, chum, don't talk like that about the car. This job will wax that sucker of yours any day.
You got 115 under this hood? Like fat you have. That's what you need to stay even with me.
I'll stay with you, and I'll leave you.
Anytime, anywhere. Put your money where your mouth is.
Oh, listen, delivery boy. I'll put my fist where your mouth is if you keep yapping like that.
You talk big. Let's see you step out here and back it up.
Well, you think I won't?
Cut it out, Cleet. I don't want any trouble here, not in front of my apartment. Dan, I'll never speak to you again if you don't stop this.
Oh, look, Sally.
I mean it, Dan. You can't behave like this to my friends.
Okay, Sally, have it your own way.
He's walking out on you.
Don't worry, he'll come back.
Harrington back yet, Miss Miller?
Yes, he's in using your phone, Mr. Garrett, and he got the information on that motorcycle club.
Oh, good. Hello, Harrington. I hear you got some information on that motorcycle club.
Yeah, and I just got a rundown on the president of it, too. A kid named Dan Clark. Works for the City Multigraph Company. And he'll be in their office around 3:30.
It's almost 3 now. Let's go and have a talk with him.
Will you be back?
Probably not. We'll see you in the morning, Miss Miller.
Bye.
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
We're looking for Dan Clark.
I'm Dan Clark.
Well, this is Mr. Garrett, the district attorney.
District attorney?
I'd like to ask you a few questions, Clark. I understand you're the president of a motorcycle club.
That's right.
The same club that made a trip to Colton City last Saturday?
Yeah? What's this all about?
Well, a jewelry store was held up in Colton City on Saturday afternoon. Owner of the store was killed. Made the headlines in yesterday's paper.
Maybe I shouldn't admit it, but I just read the comics in the sport page and let it go at that.
Well, this holdup occurred while your club was riding through town. It was pulled by a couple of fellows wearing motorcycle rider outfits.
Oh, no, wait a second. I'm certain none of our gang had anything to do with a holdup.
Well, we're not saying they did. But how can you be so positive?
Well, I know that bunch, every one of them.
Well, we're not accusing your club of anything, Clark. We're just trying to get at the facts of this case.
All our guys work, Mr. Garrett. They just aren't the kind of guys who do anything like that.
Do you have anyone in the club who drives cars on these joints?
Cars? Mister, when you're a cycle man, you raid cars behind bicycles.
How many members in your club, Clark?
67, counting the girls. They're not regular members, but you know how it is with women.
Well, we're willing to go along with the idea that your club is in the clear on this. But whoever held up that store expected to use the noise of your motors as a cover. They knew just about to the minute when your gang would arrive there.
Which means somebody had to tell them.
It sure looks that way, doesn't it? It makes me feel bad.
Well, there's no need to blame yourself, but we'd like your cooperation.
I'll do anything you say.
We're looking for 2 men who drove a sports car.
Sports car?
Does that ring a bell?
Well, I don't know. There's one guy... I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, you can leave that part of it to us.
I don't even know his full name.
Well, could you get it? And where we might find him?
I can try. After all, I don't want the club to get the blame for this.
Well, why don't you check on it, Clark, and call me at my office?
All right, sir, I will.
Good. We'll talk to you later, then.
Oh, it's you.
Hello, Sally.
I thought maybe you were never coming back.
You know better than that, Sally.
I do.
If you don't, you should. You know how I feel about you.
You certainly don't always show it. Getting nasty about nothing, insulting my friends.
I see you with another guy, get jealous, that's all. I'm sorry.
It shows you don't trust me.
I'm sorry. I promise it won't happen again.
I'm glad to hear it.
I want to talk to you about something. Aren't you going to ask me in?
Okay. Come in.
Hiya, Clark.
I didn't know he was here.
Sit down, Dan.
Seems as though this guy's taking up a lot of your time.
Watch it, Dan. Remember what you just promised me.
Why don't you relax, Clark? We've just been saying a lot of nice things about you.
Like what?
Well, like it takes a pretty smart guy to be president of a club like yours.
What am I supposed to do, take a bow? I'll see you later, Sal.
Now, wait a second, Dan. You're not going to go off on another huff, are you?
I got things to do.
All right, if you feel you have to go. I'll see you Saturday on the ride.
There isn't going to be any ride.
What do you mean?
There was a holdup in Colton City last Saturday, same time the club was riding through the town. The police think the crooks used us as a cover for the job. And there was a man killed.
So what? You guys didn't have anything to do with it, did you?
No. But I wouldn't like the same thing to happen again. So we're going to cut out the rides for a while. See you around, Sally.
Wait a second, Clark.
What for?
I don't think you ought to call off that ride.
Who cares what you think?
Well, it's like I said before, Clark. Why don't you relax? I'm the kind of guy who could do you a lot of good.
Wait a minute, Clete. I wouldn't go too far if I were you.
I know what I'm doing, babe. Clark's no dummy. He's not going to turn down a real good thing. Are you, Clark?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's simple. If you let the club keep taking those rides every weekend, it could do me a lot of good. And I'm a guy that likes to return a favor, which means I could do you a lot of good.
Which also means you're one of the guys who held up that jewelry store in Colton City.
Not a bad operation, was it? A touch of genius, if anyone was to ask you.
Somebody did ask me.
Yeah?
Who? The district attorney. I couldn't tell him very much then, but I can now.
District Attorney's office.
Hello, Miss Miller. Put me through the chief, will you?
Yeah, he's right here. Hang on. Harrington, Chief.
Where are you, Harrington?
9th Precinct Station. And you're not going to get any report from young Clark, Chief.
No? Why not?
He's just been shot dead in front of an apartment house on Harris Avenue.
This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the motorcycle club killer, here's an important message from our sponsor.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A jewelry store had been held up in a small town just outside the city. The owner of the place had been murdered. A motorcycle club entering the town had innocently provided the noise and confusion used by the gunman as a cover for the crime. We had questioned Dan Clark, president of the club, and he had promised us the name of a probable suspect. But a phone call from Harrington gave me some bad news. Young Clark had been shot to death.
Report just came in that the ambulance is on its way, Chief. I thought you might like to meet me there.
Oh, whereabouts on Harris Avenue, Harrington?
Between Lamar and 10th Street.
I'll leave right away. We'll question any bystanders and the people who live there. There must be a tie-up with the neighborhood some way.
Okay, Chief. I'll be waiting for you.
Better cancel those 2 appointments I have for this afternoon, Miss Miller. Looks like I'm going to be tied up for the rest of the day.
All right, Mr. Garrett. I'll make the calls right away.
Hi, Chief. Clark was still alive, so they took him in before I got here. But Lieutenant Padway just got a call from receiving. The kid was dead on arrival.
Anyone know what he was doing here?
Girlfriend lives in one of the apartments.
Well, let's go in and talk to her. Did she see it happen?
Yeah, claims she didn't see a thing and doesn't know who did it or why. This is it.
Not another cop.
This is Mr. Garrett, Miss Brady. He's the district attorney.
I've already answered 1,000 questions. What do I have to do now?
I'm sure you won't mind answering a few more. The boy who was killed was a friend of yours, wasn't he?
Sure, he was my friend. But can I help it if he got killed?
Were you engaged to him, Miss Brady?
Well, I guess you could say I was, yes.
Do you have other men friends?
Well, you know how it is. The girl's nice looking and the guys come around. I wouldn't want to push any of them in the face.
No, I'm sure you wouldn't. Well, did Dan Clark know any of your other friends?
No, he didn't. Well, Dan was kind of jealous. I never let him know who else I was running around with.
Are you sure he didn't know anyway?
I'm sure he didn't.
Well, do you live here alone, Miss Brady?
With my sister and her husband. They both work.
Do you work?
Well, right now I'm in between jobs.
Well, that's a very attractive necklace you're wearing.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you like it.
Present from one of your friends?
Well, yes, Dan gave it to me.
Thank you, Miss Brady. We won't trouble you any further. Oh, and thanks for your cooperation.
Don't mention it.
Something wrong about that girl, Chief.
Yes, and I think she's wearing it around her neck. Could you describe that necklace, Harrington?
Sure.
Where's your car?
At the precinct house. I rode over with the squad car.
Well, get in. I'll take you over there. Then I'd like you to drive over to Colton City. Find out if that necklace is part of the loot.
Right.
Hi, Clete. Been waiting long?
About a half hour.
I wanted to be sure I wasn't followed.
Smart girl. How's everything?
Everything's wonderful. I had them eating out of my hand, even the district attorney. You should have been there.
I'd have died laughing.
Oh, incidentally, you didn't give me that necklace. Dan gave it to me.
Kid, you sound better to me all the time. What about Saturday?
I talked to some of the boys at the club. I convinced them that they should make the ride in memory of Dan.
Oh, quit it. Will you, babe? You're killing me. What town?
Cliffdale.
Perfect. I already know the place will knock over.
I want to go with you, Clete.
That's out, babe. You want to see that town, you ride a motorcycle like the rest of them.
You think I can?
I think you could do anything.
What's it going to be this time? More jewelry?
Dough. Lots of dough. You'll find out. Go on home, kid. I'll see you later.
Hi, Chief. Morning, Miss Miller.
Morning, Harrington.
Hello, Harrington. Any luck last night?
No, nothing. Seems that the store's always been a one-man operation. And with the owner dead, no one can positively identify any of the stolen pieces.
That's too bad. Well, we just got a report from ballistics that adds up to something. The bullets that killed young Clark came from the same gun that killed the store owner.
Hey, that is something.
Can you ride a motorcycle, Harrington?
Well, I used to be able to. Yeah, I guess I can still waddle along on one of the things.
Yeah, it seems that motorcycle club is going to take another outing tomorrow afternoon. I'd like you to ride with them.
I'd be delighted, Chief. But I haven't got a thing to wear.
Oh, Harrington.
Well, we'll take care of that for you. I want you to stick near the girl if she goes along. You'll have a two-way radio on the machine so you can contact me in my car. Oh, and maybe I'd better make the arrangement for that right now. Captain Warren of Traffic, Miss Miller. You got his number?
Let's see. Yes, it's right here.
Get him on for me, will you?
Okay.
We get a break. Parking space right near the joint.
Yeah.
There's two lone copies in this block.
We're taking the one with the big sign. Get out.
Hey, we got to wait for the motorcycles?
I want to case the place. Come on.
Yeah.
KNK4 to car 6X2. KNK4 to car 6X2.
Car 6X2. I'm getting you, Harrington. Go ahead.
We'll be in Cliffdale in about 5 minutes, Chief.
I'm on the main street at the far end of town. How about the girl?
She's riding with another guy right in front of me. She didn't recognize me with this headgear and goggles on. She just... Hey, I lost them. They must have speeded up to the front.
Try to pick her up again, Harrington. Keep in touch.
Okay, Chief. KNK4 signing off.
Can I help you?
We'd like to talk to somebody about a loan.
You wait just a moment. The interviewers are all busy just now.
Sure, we wait.
Look at that open safe.
I've been looking.
There's the motorcycle club.
Right on time.
All right, folks, this is a holdup. Don't anybody move. And I don't want to hear any more of that, or we'll really start blasting you. Get the money out of that safe.
All right. Please don't point that gun at me.
Get the money on the counter.
I will.
Now the other one. Yank them phones loose.
Good idea.
Get the dough.
Yeah.
All right, down on your faces, everybody. And stay there. Anybody tries to follow us gets a bullet right square in the puss. Come on, let's go. Let's look for it.
Come on, jump in.
Come on. 3
Chiva said he was going to be a tight fit.
Jam yourself in. What are you doing here, babe?
I called a car, and here I am.
Well, come on, get going. Turn up the alley.
KNK4 to car 6X2. KNK4 to car 6X2.
Car 6X2. Go ahead, Harrington.
I just spotted the girl. She's with two men in a light blue sports roadster. They went down an alley and turned parallel to the next street. I'm following them.
Which way are they heading?
North.
And they're moving toward me. I'll see if I can get some help in setting up a roadblock. Stay with them, Harrington. I'm going to switch over to the local police. Car 6X2. Car 6X2. Car 6X2.
Anybody behind us?
Way back. Some guy on a motorcycle.
Don't worry about that. This rocket could lose any motorcycle or any cop's car.
She's a honey. Look, we're doing 90, and I only have it halfway to the floor.
I ought to punch you right in that cute-looking nose of yours.
What's the matter? Don't you like my driving?
I told you not to try to butt in on this.
You might as well get used to me, Clete. I like excitement.
Well, it looks like you're going to get some. There's a roadblock up ahead.
Turn into that field, that dirt road. That barn. Stop in front of that barn.
Yeah.
Come on. Get the door, Bostic. Up in the hayloft. Quick. Come on. Come on.
All right.
Here, grab my hand.
There.
What do we do, Clete?
Start blasting as soon as they stick their heads in that door. We can hold out in this place for a week. They're going to take us, you hear?
Give me one of your guns, please.
Here they come.
Get them.
Hayloft, Pete.
Give it back to them.
All right, I quit.
Throw your guns down, then.
There you are. That's all of them.
All right. Now come down here. The three of you.
Okay, we're coming.
What a pair of slobs you turned out to be. Big, tough men.
Shut up.
Big, tough men till the shooting starts. Then you're quick cold.
That's the usual pattern with men like these, Miss Brady. Rough and tough as long as they have the edge. Well, we're going to change all that. We're going to take them out of circulation for a long, long time. And I think we can put you away somewhere, too. Come on, let's go. This is David Bryan. I hope you enjoy this case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
Now, here is the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
This was another case that made big headlines. The two men we call Clete and Bostic were tried and convicted on charges of armed robbery and first-degree murder. Sally is now serving time as an accessory before and after the facts. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lloyd.